subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
Culprit. There was also some doubts. I think this space should be man-made. The wand called Sapphire replied. Manufactured? Ilya and Miyu were confused. From the outside, it seems to be a fusion of multiple spaces that ignore the similarity. It can generally be speculated that there is a special situation, such as moving in multiple directions in a certain dimensional world, or expanding and expanding. Ruby also began to answer. The reason is probably due to the failure of dimension creation and the like. And the result, it feels a bit like a distorted location, and several worlds have been implicated. Sapphire nodded in agreement. After all, troublesome situations like this happen occasionally. Ruby nodded. The wand actually nodded. But it looks like the scale this time is huge. Sapphire said, somewhat puzzled. Can cause this level of dimensional distortion? I'm afraid it's a very tricky guy. Ruby was silent for a moment and then said in a deep voice, I don't know why it happened, and I can't draw a conclusion for the time being. Sapphire replied, What are you two talking about? Miyu and Ilya said they couldn't understand what the two wands were saying. But it seems to be very powerful. Can you explain it in terms that even a child can understand? Ilya scratched her head in embarrassment and asked, All in all, if you just want to get out of here, you need to find the prisoner hiding somewhere and destroy it. Ruby thought for a while, directly told Ilya the solution. But due to the integration of multiple dimensions, this place is very dangerous now. Sapphire reminded. Chapter 67. The first meeting of the magical girl from the two worlds, a prisoner. How about calling it a try first? Maybe it will come over. After thinking for a while, Ilya said to Miyu, Hey, are you serious? Miyu looked at Ilya with a foolish look. As everyone knows, behind the two of them, there is a group of huge black mud constantly surging. The culprit first. Suddenly, the two of them felt that there was something behind them. Mr. Prisoner. Miyu and Ilya turned their heads stiffly. Found behind. There is a huge black mud in one day. Whoa. The two girls made deafening noises. The tentacles around the black mud turned into countless, sharp thorns. Attacked the two from all directions. The two also hurriedly fled around. Wow! What the hell is this? Ilya asked quickly. A creature in an incredible space. It finally looks like it. Ruby is extremely excited. Why are you so happy? Ilya said to the ruby in her hand. Because this is the enemy that magical girls should deal with. Ruby explained solemnly. What the hell? The ruby in Ilya's opponent was simply speechless. Beautiful tour. Then he shouted to Miyu beside him. Understood. Miyu hurriedly slid back a few steps and nodded vigorously. Shoot, radiation. Miyu quickly waved the sapphire in her hand. Schneid and slash. Ilya also waved her wand vigorously. Although the two people's attacks successfully hit the black mud in front of them, there was even a hole in the black mud's abdomen. But it didn't do much damage to the black mud. Elijah looked shocked. It doesn't work? Miyu also frowned. This guy seems to be something made of mud. Ilya said somewhat uncertainly. That's right. Miyu nodded. If you want to defeat it, you must use an output that can smash its body into slag in one go. Sapphire also explained. But it's impossible for you. Ruby took advantage of the situation. What's the meaning? Miyu asked suspiciously. It's literally, you can't directly blast it into slag with your attacks. Sapphire replied. Especially Miss Ilya's slash. It has no effect at all. It's super useless. Ruby made fun of Ilya. You're so noisy. Ilya's face turned red. Like a small apple. She shouted angrily at Ruby. Come on, heart of the rising sun. The one in the distance has orange-red hair. A girl in a white dress similar to a school uniform. He said softly to the wand in his hand. Shooting mode. The wand in his hand instantly turned into a spear-shaped weapon. Divine Buster standby. The girl held the weapon in her hand tightly. At the same time, a pair of eyes stared at the muddy mud in the distance. Mayu, who was standing beside Ilya, suddenly raised her head and said in a deep voice, It seems something is coming. Elijah was stunned. Ilya, hurry up! Miyu suddenly shouted at Ilya. God break! Suddenly, a young girl's voice came from the sky. The next moment, a pink energy beam with a diameter of about 5 meters appeared in the air. The black mud was swallowed up in an instant. Miyu and Ilya both exclaimed in surprise. Oh, actually just in an instant evaporated? Ilya's face was full of disbelief. That you two are fine? At this time, the girl in the air also slowly fell in front of Miyu and Ilya. I'm so sorry. Originally, I planned to adjust the output of magic power. You are not injured, are you? The girl looked at Miyu and Ilya with some worry. It is true, Miyu looked surprised. The girl was a little puzzled. It's a real magical girl. Elijah also exclaimed. The girl is still full of question marks. She had no idea what the two girls in front of her were talking about. What is a real magical girl? Isn't it just the two of you? Nai said that he didn't understand what the two girls were saying at all. That's right. This girl is Takamachi Nanoha, who was caught up in the movement of the black mud space. Chapter 68. The Magical Girls Alliance is established. The three girls present for a while fell into silence. I don't know what to say. Well, as expected, everyone suddenly fell into this space. Miyu scratched her cheek, the first to break the silence. By the way, have you two seen a boy who is about 4 or 5 years old, less than 1 meter tall, and looks very, very cute? Naya suddenly remembered something, so he hurriedly asked Miyu and Ilya. Miyu and Ilya looked at each other. You didn't see it either. It's a bit of a headache. Where did Xiao Yu go? Naya's expression was full of worry. Until now, not only Tianyu has not been found, not even Fei Te saw it. After looking around, I found these two girls who are also magical girls. Then what? Speaking of which, who are you? Ilya stared at Nanoha with wide eyes. I'm really sorry. I forgot to introduce myself. Naiha also touched her nose in embarrassment. My name is Takamachi Nanoha. I'm currently a third-year elementary school student. For some reason, I'm now a magical girl. Naiha hurriedly introduced herself. But you two should also be magical girls? I didn't expect to meet magical girls from other worlds. Maybe it's a kind of luck. Naruto said happily. As for Ilya and Miyu, they didn't know what to say. What's going on here? She looks like such a cute girl, but why can I always feel an overwhelming pressure? Ilya felt an inexplicable pressure from Nanoha. He quickly turned around and asked the ruby in his hand in a low voice. I can clearly feel an inexplicable strong pressure from the girl in front of me, even stronger than himself and Mayu. I have never encountered such a powerful being. That kind of strong pressure made Ilya's little heart beat wildly. Nanoha didn't know what happened to Ilya. Miss Ilya, can you feel it? Ruby was also a little surprised. Elijah replied in a low voice. But that's no wonder. If Ilya-san's MS, Magic Girl Power, is 10,000, then the value she showed just now is at least 530,000. And it seems that he has reservations. At this time, Ruby did not know where to change a combat power detector. The exterior looks the same as in Dragon Ball, a small instrument that looks like an earmuff and is connected to a display. Keep looking at the numbers above. Explain to Ilya in a serious manner. What the hell is MS Power? When Ilya heard MS Power, his face turned red all of a sudden. It's MS Power, or Magical Girl Power. Ruby explained calmly. Also, where did you get that combat power detector from? Ilya looked at Ruby and complained feebly. Sometimes I wonder if Ruby's comics have been read too much. Otherwise, why even come up with combat effectiveness detectors? That suddenly Naiha said, Wow! Ilya, who was communicating with Ruby. I was startled by the sudden sound. What's wrong? Ilya quickly turned her head and asked. That besides that child, have you seen another girl? She also fell into the space with us, but we all got separated. Nanoha wanted to ask Ilya and Miyu about them. See if you've seen Fei Te. Girls? Ilya looked at Miyu again. Seeing Miyu, she just shook her head. Haven't seen it before. Then Ilya replied to Nanoha. Are that little boy and girl your friends? Ilya asked curiously. The little boy is my brother. As for that girl? No. If only we could be friends. Saying that, Nay felt a little disappointed. That's it. I understand. Then I'll help you find it together, Ilya said. Yeah, really? Naya also suddenly became excited. If someone helps, it will definitely be faster than yourself. Anyway, we're going to find the culprit. Okay. Miyu. Ilya looked at Miyu. Miyu nodded. The Magical Girls Alliance is established. Ilya held out her little hand. The goal is to search for the boy and another girl, and to find and stop the culprit. Miyu also put her hand on Ilya. Nanoha also put her hand on Miyu's. P.S. That? Is this book still reading? It seems that everyone thinks that the protagonist is too weak. Otherwise, what about the situation where you will directly enter the super match and enter the invincible situation? Chapter 69. Twisted Space. Another Ilya, the Magical Girls Alliance? It's interesting, but since the time and space have been completely distorted, let's make the game more interesting. What is the Magical Girls Alliance with only 3 magical girls? On the roof of a distant building, a young woman in a white coat stood. Appears to be about 20 years old. His black knee-length hair was casually scattered behind him. After holding up the black-rimmed glasses on the armrest, from the pocket of his coat, he pulled out a peculiar remote control. Since you want to play, then you might as well play bigger. The woman pressed the remote control in her hand. Suddenly, the entire space began to shake violently. What? Miyu and Ilya were both surprised. The rocks are all pressed over? Elijah screamed loudly. 3 magical girls flew into the air at the same time. Wow. Why is it shaking everywhere? Ilya danced in the air in surprise. The whole space seems to be flowing or expanding, and it seems that other worlds are also involved. Ruby explained in a deep voice. Other worlds are involved? That means... Ilya was already a little unimaginable. That's right. You will encounter beings from other worlds next. Sapphire answered for Ruby. Miyu was even more surprised. Unless the twist stops, more worlds will be involved. Ruby is also rarely serious. What happens when you get involved? Ilya asked weakly. All the worlds involved will be destroyed and will cease to exist. Sapphire explained. All 3 girls were surprised. Meanwhile, in another parallel world, Fuyuki City is a very flat city. There is a very wide forest in the outskirts. And in the forest, there is a very big castle. Damn it. A girl who looks exactly like Ilya, wearing purple dress holding a gamepad in hand. Concentrate on playing the game. Isn't it? The battery is dead? The girl looked angry at the pop-up window displayed on the screen in front of her. Really, it's clear that the customs clearance will be soon. The girl puffed her cheeks and said displeasedly. Suddenly, it was as if he thought of something. Berserker! The girl hurriedly shouted towards the door. Roar, accompanied by a roar. Suddenly, there was a black, kelp-like, over-the-shoulder hair. The dark man came in the white, eyes made people a little scared. Now. Go, and buy me batteries back envelope. The girl holds a battery in her hand. Seriously, he warned the strong man named Berserker. Roar! Berserker let out a growl. Then the girl went to the desk. Write down what you need to buy on a note. Came to the hall downstairs of the castle. At this time, the giant named Berserker was already waiting here. It can be clearly seen at this time. This giant, named Berserker, definitely has a height of more than 2 meters. She has long, shoulder-length hair that looks like a black kelp. Guolu's upper body can see that he has dark skin. Muscles are very strong. Bracers are also attached to the hands. The lower body is wearing an ancient Greek war skirt. Standing there with bare feet, listen, Berserker, you're going to buy an antelope. The girl put her hands on her hips. He handed the note in his hand to Berserker in front of him. Whoa. Berserker made a sound. He took the small note from the girl's hand. Check out what's written on it. Wow. Berserker tilted his head somewhat incomprehensibly. He looked a little uneasy. In his hand, he took out a weapon made of rock from nowhere. It looks very heavy. Berserker, you must remember, buy the antelope back, no matter what. The girl continued to exhort. Roar! Berserker roared, just ready to go out and help the girl run errands. But wait until Berserker leaves the castle. A little nervously, he looked at the castle behind him. Because Berserker is the first time to go out and run errands to buy things, so I was filled with anxiety. But still gotta do it. Come on. Berserker, Ilya will definitely cheer for you again. That's right. This girl is Ilya in parallel time and space. Chapter 70. Black mud everywhere. Berserker, running errands for the first time, wields his battle axe, taking steps that the six parents do not recognize. He strode towards the electrical store. Behind a telephone pole, a maid in black and white was hiding. Fair complexion, the red eyes dimmed. Has a very plump figure. White sideburns are exposed on both sides. This is one of the maids of Einsburn City Riselet. Because Lizzie was worried about whether Berserker would be able to complete the first errand, she secretly followed to prevent Berserker from having any accident. Oh! Suddenly, there was a sound from the street light. Riselet followed the voice and looked. Standing on the street lamp was a handsome young man with blonde hair and red eyes and a slender body, wearing a black motorcycle suit. In his hand is a glass bottle. Gilgamesh, Riselet said in a low voice. This king was just here to check on the people's situation. I actually saw a stupid servant walking with a stupid face. It's still in my city, Gilgamesh said with a narcissistic look. Suddenly, Gilgamesh's expression changed. A ripple suddenly appeared in the space beside him. A golden space vortex appeared in Gilgamesh. Immediately after, a chain flew out of the space vortex. I don't need a meatball tumbler in my city. Gilgamesh grabbed the chains and sneered. No! Riselet charged up with a giant axe gun in her hand, slashed at Gilgamesh. What? Gilgamesh froze for a moment. Then he quickly jumped towards the roof behind him and easily avoided the attack. That thing is useless to me. Riselet spoke to Gilgamesh again. At the same time, a golden space vortex appeared again above the head. A slender knight sword slowly emerged from the vortex of space. That's because your divinity is very low, Gilgamesh replied with a sneer while holding the sword. However, before Gilgamesh finished speaking, suddenly, a giant axe made of rock flew over in the air. It hit Gilgamesh in an instant. Bang! Hit by a heavy axe. Gilgamesh instantly smashed through the roof with the giant axe and fell. Wow! What happened? What's the matter? Why did someone fall off the roof? Who is this man? The crowd inside the house looked at Gilgamesh in amazement. It turned out that it was Berserker, who was walking in disrespectful steps and accidentally threw the giant axe in his hand. The huge axe that was thrown away hit Gilgamesh with precision. But Berserker didn't notice it at all. His giant axe had been thrown away by himself. Still walked towards the electrical appliance store with merciless steps. On the other side, Riselet looked blankly at Gilgamesh, who had smashed through the roof and was completely unconscious. Riselet, what are you doing in a place like this? Suddenly behind Riselet, a maid who looked and dressed exactly like Riselet appeared. To say the only difference, that's because this woman doesn't have the white sideburns of Riselet. This is Sarah, who is also one of the maids of the Einsburn family. After saying that, Sarah dragged Riselet towards the Einsburn house. Well, although Riselet also helped a lot, in the end, however, it was up to Berserker to remove the obstacle himself, taking steps that the six parents do not recognize. One inadvertently threw his giant axe away. It also happened to hit Gilgamesh, who was about to be detrimental to him, precisely. Most importantly, even Berserker himself didn't know what was going on. I have to say that no one is lucky. Berserker, who walked in the direction of the harbor, took a step that his six relatives did not recognize. At this moment, a puddle of black mud appeared on the roof. Oh, actually solved by Berserker. Look, it seems not enough. Look at the situation below. Some lost after shaking his head. Wait until the end, then take you also and bring me there too. After the black mud finished speaking, he turned his attention to Berserker in the distance. This, a Berserker, she can make use of it. After the black mud said intermittently, he followed. Have to say this black mud-like thing is really everywhere. But soon the black mud disappeared without a trace, as if it hadn't been there from the beginning. Chapter 71. The Conspiracy of Black Mud. There was a handsome young man with blue hair by the harbor, wearing tropical short sleeves, with a cigarette in his mouth, humming a little song with a leisurely look. Roar! Berserker roared at the young man. The youth hurriedly jumped back to avoid Berserker's attack. The clothes on his body also changed in an instant. Original short sleeves and jeans. It's a strange costume like a blue tights. He also held a red long gun in his hand. What are you trying to do out of the blue? Laner angrily questioned Berserker. Roar! Berserker's eyes shifted to Lancer. In fact, don't look at Berserker is a giant man more than 2 meters tall. In fact, Berserker is very, very fond of puppies. Why is Lancer a puppy? Because, this Lancer's real name is Xiao Yu, and the name Xiao Yu has the meaning of Kiran's bulldog. Therefore, Xiao Yu will often be ridiculed by fans of the Fate series as a puppy, Wang Jiang, etc. Maybe Xiao Yu was just a puppy in Berserker's eyes. Although Berserker has a fierce look, but it could be seen that he seemed to be playing with Xiao Yu. A Berserker seems to have completely forgotten that he came out to buy batteries. Is it really good to play with Xiao Yu as a puppy here? Roar! Berserker shouted and rushed towards Xiao Yu. Cut! No way! Xiao Yu also clenched the spear of death thorns in his hand, staring at Berserker in front of him. A fierce battle is imminent. The battle of the two men destroyed half of the port. It lasted for 2 full hours at the same time. Finally, Berserker dragged Xiao Yu out of the warehouse slowly. At the same time, in Berserker's chest, Xiao Yu's lance of piercing deaththorn is still stuck. If it weren't for Berserker's noble phantasm that can be resurrected, 12 trials, otherwise, Berserker would have already been solved by Xiao Yu. 12 trials is a very special, noble phantasm. It is a very powerful treasure. At the same time, it can be said that it is an undead, noble phantasm that is a blessing from God and a curse. This noble phantasm does not have the appearance of a weapon or armor. It can be said that it is Berserker itself. It has the effect of automatically reviving the body after death. However, there is also a limitation. That is, if this Berserker is not killed 12 times, it will not die. Of course, if he suffers huge damage, he can also take a few lives at one time. Even, this noble phantasm also has a very powerful effect. That is to let the attacked once won't work the second time. Why does this Berserker possess such a terrifying noble phantasm? Then I have to say the true identity of this Berserker. This Berserker's real body is Hercules, the son of Zeus in Greek mythology. If Hercules didn't have this noble phantasm, then Xiao Yu had already defeated Hercules. Kill me now, Xiao Yu said weakly to Hercules. However, Hercules ignored Xiao Yu and instead walked towards the outside with great interest. Suddenly, Hercules remembered something. Enelope, Hercules recalled. Her own owner, Elijah, asked herself to buy an Enelope. However, actually wasted 2 hours here. If you don't buy Enelope back, I'm afraid Ilya will be angry. Roar! After Hercules roared, dragged Xiao Yu and ran towards the electrical store. It looks like we Hercules have finally figured out what to do. Gotta go faster. Ilya is still waiting for her at home. Thinking of this, Hercules began to run wildly. But Hercules had no idea where the electrical store was. I can only run around in Fuyuki City. In front of the mountain gate of Ludong Temple. Has a long dark blue ponytail with a lavender headband. A handsome man in a dark purple sleeveless waistcoat and a purple kimono. Holds a weapon about 5 feet long, with a branch standing in front of the mountain gate of Ludong Temple. There was still a pool of black mud in front of him. Chapter 72. The Conspiracy of Black Mud 2. In front of the mountain gate of Ludong Temple. Has a long dark blue ponytail with a lavender headband. A handsome man in a dark purple sleeveless waistcoat and a purple kimono. Holds a weapon about 5 feet long, with a branch standing in front of the mountain gate of Ludong Temple. There was still a pool of black mud in front of him. How is it? Sasaki Kojiro. Do you want to come and make this deal with me? This mess of black mud doesn't speak like it used to. Instead, he was able to speak a complete sentence very fluently. Can you really let me leave in front of the gate of Ludong Temple? The man known as Sasaki Kojiro asked. Of course. In exchange, you have to go to another world. Help me get rid of a child. Black Mud answered Sasaki Kojiro's question. This Sasaki Kojiro hesitated. After all, the catalyst that summoned him was the gate of Ludong Temple. Being bound by the mountain gate, he could not leave the gate of Ludong Temple. Therefore, he can only serve as the guard of Ludong Temple. And this Sasaki Kojiro is not an ordinary servant, but a very special existence. Sasaki Kojiro was forcibly summoned by Midea, a servant. Although his class is assassin, but he was not an assassin. In addition, this Kojiro is not the other Kojiro. In fact, the current Sasaki Kojiro was originally just a heroic spirit without a name. But when Sasaki Kojiro, a heroic spirit that does not exist, is summoned, the only one who fits Sasaki Kojiro is the one who knows Swallow Return. Therefore, that's why this Sasaki Kojiro was summoned to this world. This point is also clear to Sasaki Kojiro himself. So for a long time, Kojiro always thinks he is just a nameless swordsman buried in the old times. Just a lonely ghost. In normal times, Kojiro Sasaki likes to think alone, although reticent. But when he speaks, he is quite old-fashioned and pompous. Especially when talking to Caster, Midea, who summoned him. Always call Caster, Midea, the female fox. Therefore, Midea will always give severe punishment to Kojiro's ridicule. For example, pierce Kojiro's chest, turn all his ribs out, and so on. The Black Mud suddenly noticed something. It disappeared without a trace in the next moment. Hey, you go. When seeing the Black Mud disappear, Kojiro was a little puzzled. But the words are not over yet. I saw a dark and strong man, dragging a half-dead man, and rush through. An enemy attack. Kojiro clenched the weapon in his hand. Roar! Accompanied by a roar. Hercules dragged Xiao Yu and rushed over. Don't think about getting close. Kojiro charged with a 5-foot-long weapon. Roar! Hercules didn't bother to pay attention to him when he visited the electrical store. Inattentive, with the Xiao Yu in his hand, Kojiro was knocked out. Hit the wall behind him. Then Hercules started running again. Find the location of this electrical store. TSK. How are you thinking? The Black Mud appeared again. He moved in front of Kojiro and asked. I agree, Kojiro answered with difficulty. I was thinking in my heart, wait until you can get out of here. Gotta go fix that guy. Okay. After the Black Mud responded lightly. A little black mud wrapped around the half-dead Kojiro. The black mud that was separated soon returned to the body. And Kojiro's injuries have also healed. You help me solve the kid first, and then I will help you solve the problem that you can't leave here. After the black mud finished speaking, immediately afterwards, Kojiro was shrouded in a cloud of black mist. Okay, Kojiro in the dark mist nodded. Soon the black fog began to gradually dissipate. Kojiro also disappeared at the gate of Ludong Temple along with the black mist. Next target. Just another rider, since one can't solve you. Then I'll give you another. The figure in the black mud's eyes gradually disappeared in place again. I want to see what's going on with Hercules. Tianyu in another world doesn't know yet. He has been completely stared at by this strange black mud. But even knowing it doesn't matter, because Midea and Medusa were knocked unconscious by Tianyu with a knife. He was looking for Nanoha in that space. P.S. If the book is on the shelves, there will be no one reading it. Alas, I'm really worried that no one will watch it after it hits the shelves. By the way, the next plot in this book will be accelerated, and it should be quicker to end the plot of the first part of the magical girl Nanoha. After all, there are other plots waiting in the future. Chapter 73. The Conspiracy of Black Mud 3. What is that? It caused so much damage to the city. On the roadside, Medusa, wearing a pair of glasses, riding a lady's bicycle. He raised his head and looked at the distant location with some doubts. Wait until you get close to see what it is. It turned out to be Hercules, who was constantly runaway, rushing towards the store. Running in such a hurry will definitely not escape the law of falling. Hercules on the run accidentally stepped on the face of Gilgamesh, who was thrown on the street. Because of running too fast. Crooked foot. The entire huge body kept rolling towards the front. Hey, wait. Medusa, who had no time to dodge, was so frightened that her face changed dramatically. I saw the fallen Hercules kept rolling in the direction of Medusa. Take advantage of the opportunity to knock Medusa out. Poor Medusa was killed by Hercules in this way because Hercules' huge body fell and rolled out, knocking down a lot of houses along the way. The powerful destructive force caused the nearby to become a ruin. However, a manly Hercules would not cry. After getting up from the ground, he looked at his hands. Xiao Yu is gone. It looks like they were lost when they fell down, just now. Hercules kept looking around. I want to see where Xiao Yu was dropped by himself. Although helping Elijah run errands is important, but friend Xiao Yu is also very important. So you have to find Xiao Yu. At this time, Xiao Yu was hiding behind a broken stone wall. Carefully, he stuck his head out and looked at Hercules. Found out that Hercules did not find himself, so I wanted to run away secretly. But because of his escape, Hercules discovered him instead. Excited Hercules took small, cheerful steps. He ran away happily. He pinched Xiao Yu's head. Pick up Xiao Yu. Go, just do it. Just kill me. Xiao Yu looks like he can't be loved. Hercules with Xiao Yu finally came to the commercial street where the electrical store was located. Want to happily buy the battery back. Pity people are not as good as God. The owner of the electrical store has something to do, so the 15th to the 18th are closed for the past few days. Shop is closed. Hercules finally came to the electrical store, but the electrical store was closed today. The store is actually closed. In this case, there is no way to successfully help Ilya run errands. Roar! The furious Hercules picked up Xiao Yu in his hand and began to smash the door frantically. Abruptly smashed the shop's rolling shutter and dented it. The people around were completely stunned. What exactly is going on? In a family restaurant not far away, a handsome young man with long orange-red hair pushed open the door from inside. Are you full? If not, let's go to the next restaurant next. The boy smiled and said to the girl behind him. It was a girl with blonde hair tied up with a blue ribbon. A pair of emerald green eyes are mesmerizing, plus that pretty face and petite leftovers. It looks like a gentle, dignified, and beautiful aristocratic girl in a medieval European court. Tianyu, the curry tastes really good. The girl patted her stomach and said with great satisfaction. Artoria, do you want to go to other delicacies? The boy called Tianyu asked the girl next to him. Well, if Tianyu is not full yet, then I'll go with you. The girl called Artoria blushed, then put on a reluctant look. Huh? Isn't that Berserker? Where is the madness? Suddenly Tianyu saw Hercules, who kept smashing the door, with Xiao Yu beside him. Some puzzled. Artoria was also a little puzzled. Bang! The airflow generated by the huge explosion swept the two people into it. Tigers don't show their power. You treat me as a sick cat. Tianyu's face darkened. Instantly, a pure white magic circle appeared beside him. The airflow was easily blocked. At the same time, a ripple appeared in the space beside Hercules, followed by a chain of countless energies. Bind Hercules tightly. If you don't give me an explanation, I'll blow you up if you believe it or not. Tianyu walked in front of Hercules. Looking at Hercules in front of him with a gloomy face, he said, Get ready to teach the big guy in front of him a lesson. Chapter 74. The distortion of time and space between two worlds. Hey, Tianyu, hurry up and save me. Suddenly, a cry for help came from Hercules' hand. El? Isn't this Wang Jiang? How did you get caught by Berserker Kuan? Tianyu looked at Ku Kulin with interest and asked. Don't ask. Hurry up and save me. Xiao Yu was about to collapse. Roar! Hercules roared at Tianyu. Noisy. Tianyu squeezed his fist lightly with his right hand. In an instant, Hercules' mouth was forcibly closed, and at the same time he couldn't make a sound. I don't know what happened to Berserker. He started to get angry when he saw the electrical store closed. He probably wanted to buy something. Xiao Yu replied, somewhat uncertainly. Electrical store? Shopping. Tianyu was stunned for a moment. Then he rubbed his chin and thought, by the way, it should be buying an envelope battery for Ilya. Tianyu looked suddenly enlightened. Xiao Yu was stunned for a moment. The guy in front of him is really not a good stubble. Actually know what Hercules actually wants. Tianyu, what's wrong? At this time, Artoria also came over. It's okay. Berserker, look at the back of the note for yourself. There should be a solution. Tianyu snapped his fingers and released the chains and silence that bound Hercules. Wow! A bit confused, Hercules took out a note. Obediently looked behind. If the electrical store is not open, go to the department store. It turned out that Ilya had already considered that such an accident would happen, in order to prevent Hercules from being unexpected by this one-strand guy. So it was specially written at the back of the note. However, Ilya still overestimated Hercules' IQ. This guy is full of muscles. I didn't even think to see what's behind the note. Roar! Hercules let out an excited roar. Yes, since the electrical store is not open. Then go to the department store and check it out. Excited, Hercules pulled up Xiao Yu, who was beside him, and threw it up. Grabbing the excited Xiao Yu, he ran towards the department store. Really? Looking at Hercules, who was far away, Tianyu shook his head helplessly. Suddenly, Tianyu frowned and looked at the sky. Tianyu, what's wrong? Artoria asked with a puzzled look. Artoria, maybe I need your help. Tianyu looked at the blue sky and said in a deep voice, Help! Artoria was a little puzzled. The disorder in this space has completely affected time and space. The two worlds have begun to distort continuously, and an irreversible ending will occur if this continues. Tianyu explained in a deep voice. Irreversible ending? Arturia was also a little puzzled. It stands to reason. The past and future time and space are forcibly linked, and the link between the two worlds must be cut off as soon as possible. Otherwise, everything will disappear. Tianyu explained to Arturia next to him. How come? Arturia looked incredulous. So, I need your help, Tianyu said in a deep voice. I see. What do you need us to do? Arturia nodded earnestly and asked. I need you to help the old me, Tianyu explained. In the past you? Arturia tilted her head in thought. Obviously, he didn't understand what Tianyu was talking about. You'll know when you go. Tianyu shook his head and ran towards the department store. On the other side, Arturia was stunned. Go back and ask others. You should know. Arturia scratched her cheeks, running in the opposite direction to Tianyu. Hercules came to the department store with the steps that he did not recognize. The crowd around watched the huge Hercules dragging Xiao Yu. A curious look. I had never seen such a large, dark man. At this time, Hercules noticed the floor plan posted on the wall. Run quickly and observe this carefully. Want to see a few floors to be able to buy batteries. When the eyes see the 10th floor, on the back is written, Comprehensive Home Appliances. Apparently, the home appliance store is often on the 10th floor. At this time, Medea, who was on the 10th floor with an excited face, was holding an unopened sewing machine. Excitedly, he walked towards the elevator. I bought it, a brand new sewing machine, so I can make a lot for Lord Tianyu. Excited Medea did not know that a disaster was coming. Roar! Hercules, anxious to buy a battery, jumped high and easily jumped to the 10th floor. Huh? Bears are... Medea looked at the 10-story Hercules, who suddenly jumped in shock. Chapter 75. Weird Black Mist, White Moon Princess. A faster figure hugged Medea and left the place. Hercules didn't think too much. Anyway, I came out to buy batteries. As for where Medea went, then it has nothing to do with yourself. Hercules looked around at the situation. Want to see where the battery is. Soon Hercules determined his goal. Not far away, there is a person about 1.8 to 1.9 meters tall. Has wheatish skin, hair, and eyebrows are white. Wearing a black shirt, he holds a battery in his left hand and a phone in his right hand. It looks like he's talking to someone on the phone. Roar! Soon Hercules found his purpose. Excited Hercules' eyes reddened. Quickly rushed to the man in the distance. Berserker! The man turned pale in shock when he saw Hercules rushing towards him. A pair of black and white knives appeared in both hands. Hercules did not hesitate at all. Xiao Yu, waving his hand, attacked the man. Era, it looks like I came at just the right time, and I'm worried that I won't be able to see this scene because of the early relationship. Sure enough, the correction power is super strong in this regard. Tianyu appeared not far away, holding Medea in the way of a princess hug. Excitedly, he looked at the fighting in front of him. At this moment, Medea looked at Tianyu in front of her with a blushing face. Unexpectedly, Tianyu actually hugged him. For a while, Medea was a little overwhelmed. Archer and Berserker. I have a chance to see the B+, rank noble phantasm for the King Blue Lancers of Spinning Assault. Tianyu elatedly watched the battle between the two. Archer quickly dodged Hercules' attack. He hurriedly asked Xiao Chulin, "What the hell are you doing?" "I do not know either," Xiao Chulin hurriedly shouted. Key. Archer quickly pulled away from Hercules. "Oh, it's coming." Tianyu, who was on the side, became excited watching this scene. I saw Hercules forcefully threw Cuchulain in his hand towards Archer. Xiao Chulin is spinning at a high speed and rushing towards Archer. Appeared. Blue Spearman of Rotating Assault. Tianyu took out his phone and took pictures silently. Also edited a paragraph. Noble Phantasm. Blue Lancer with Spinning Assault grade. B+ category. Anti-Army Noble Phantasm range. 1 maximum capture. 1 effect. An equipment that uses the Lancer as a throwing weapon. An irregular Noble Phantasm created by the use of the Lancer by Berserker, who originally had only one type of Noble Phantasm. Can inflict a critical hit on archers. Emits a blue glow to tell the spin. Must be able to hit all the targets on the track. Although it has the same effect as the piercing Death Thorn, it will not return to the pitcher's hand like a boomerang. Wait. What the hell is this? Xiao Chulin growled loudly. What is going on here? What is this unknown noble phantasm? Archer looked at the spearman spinning in front of him with a look of astonishment. Totally don't understand what's going on. In this way, Archer was stunned and flew out. TSK. Eat and drink. Let's go all the way. Amen. Tianyu, who was watching the play by the side, also clicked his tongue. If there is no accident, there should be one. Tianyu thought for a while and said. Suddenly, there was a shimmering red in the air. An electric hot water bottle. Would you like this? Tianyu, who was on the side, couldn't help complaining. Well? Hercules looked at the electric thermos in front of him with a question mark on his face. Am I worrying too much? Isn't it the Berserker of this time and space? Tianyu also tilted his head in confusion. Then he looked at Medea, who was blushing in her arms. Forget it. It's better for me to go over there and take a look. Tianyu hugged Medea and disappeared instantly. Hercules, who took a few steps, seemed to have thought of something. Battery. It's the battery. Hercules, you haven't bought the battery yet. However, Hercules turned and dragged Xiao Chulin from the ruins. Silently dragged Xiao Chulin home. It seems that the battery is not as important as Xiao Chulin. Back at home, put aside the beloved Xiao Chulin, Hercules handed the red electric thermos in his hand to Ilya. What is this? I clearly said that I want an antelope. Ilya watched Hercules come back with an electric thermos. Suddenly, he said with a sigh of relief. He slapped the electric thermos to the ground with a slap. The electric hot water bottle smashed into the face of Xiao Chulin, who fell to the ground. Then the electric hot water bottle slowly rose with a golden light. What? Everyone present was dumbfounded, have absolutely no idea what happened. Miss, could it be that this is... Sarah on the side saw the word Holy Grail written on it. Suddenly an idea came to mind. Is this electric thermos the so-called Holy Grail? I saw the lid of the electric hot water bottle suddenly opened. A black smoke enveloped Hercules and Ilya. Miss, Sarah and Lizard shouted in a hurry. Pity Hercules and Ilya had long since disappeared. In another world, a girl with short blonde hair, wearing a white slim skirt. He holds a magic wand in his hand. It's coming. Magic at full count. Inexplicable incantation in his mouth, however. A strange black mist appeared and wrapped the girl inside. What kind of attack are you using? Any attack is useless to me. A shiitake mushroom head in the air, the lower half of the monster shouted. White Moon Princess disappeared. As the black mist dissipated, the mushroom monster discovered that the girl in front of him had disappeared. P.S. Just write so much foreshadowing and just skip other foreshadowings. In the future, I will give you a little description after the opportunity is reduced. In addition, the above plots are based on the Magic Girl Ilya x Magical Girl Nanoha linkage series and the Fantasy Carnival series. Because it involves the relationship between the later plot, it was written Chapter 76. Fei came here. Nanoha was also in trouble. Dozens of huge black mud covered in pitch black also appeared in the air. It's so big. Besides, there are a lot of them. Ilya looked at the cloud of black mud in the air. Sorry, those are probably from my world, Nanoha said apologetically. Are all such terrifying existences in your world? Miyu asked in surprise. It's not really. It seems that my brother has been dealing with it. Nanoha scratched her cheek awkwardly and replied. In Nanoha's impression, this is the first time I have fought against these black mud. I haven't seen each other for the rest of the time, but from what the black mud said before, it's not hard to guess. Tianyu has been fighting this group of guys. There is no time to hesitate, so I have to go all out. Ilya clenched the ruby in her hand. Everyone, let's go together. Elijah shouted. Clear. Miyu nodded. Yes. Nanoha also clenched the heart of the rising sun in her hands. Get ready to cast magic. Energy charge for times. Full blast. Miyu knew that the black mud in front of her was tricky. Physical type attacks are useless against them. You must use an output that can completely blast them into slag. Therefore, he directly increased his artillery power to 4 times the full power output. Suddenly, a pool of black mud turned into tentacles and attacked Miyu. Be careful with Miyu, Elijah shouted. Limited expansion. Career card Lancer. Ilya also took out a card. Use limited expansion to attack. Piercing. The gun of death flight. Ilya threw the red spear in her hand hard at the tentacle. It's amazing. The two of them seem to be very skilled in fighting. Nanoha marveled at the battle between the two girls. And, using a completely different magic system to fight, it seems to be a more advanced and targeted special ability. During this time, Nanoha also had a certain understanding of mid-Certa-style magic. I found that the attack methods of the two girls in front of me were completely different from my own. It seems to be more advanced than my own, and it is more targeted. Let's go here too. Heart of the Rising Sun. Nanoha transformed the Heart of the Rising Sun from the wand state to the shelling state again. All right, me master. Yes, my master. A pink magic circle appeared at Nanoha's feet. Started to keep accumulating. Suddenly, the whole space trembled again. Ah! Elijah hurriedly exclaimed. Are you here again? Miyu also frowned. This world is expanding and flowing. Xiao. Don't be affected by the surrounding situation, Ruby quickly reminded. Ah! Now it's dangerous? Suddenly, Ilya saw a school building coming from behind Nanoha. Protect the Heart of the Rising Sun made a decision in an instant. Oops, it's too late, Miyu exclaimed. A golden streamer instantly split the building in two. Ah! Fei. Feet. Naya didn't expect that the person who came was actually Fate. Is that the girl she's looking for? Miyu looked behind her in surprise. Wow, why is it that he looks very cute, but is strong enough to foul? Ilya felt an inexplicable pressure again. MS force can no longer be measured. Ruby is also very surprised. You must know that Ruby can measure MS power of less than 1 million, that is combat power. But there is no way to detect the girl in front of me. What does that mean? It means that the MS power, combat power, of the girl in front of her has at least reached 1 million or more. Impossible? Is it so scary? Ilya was completely stunned. I can measure the MS power of less than 1 million. In other words, this girl's MS power has exceeded 1 million, which is more than 100 times that of Miss Ilya. Ruby immediately gave Ilya an answer. Ilya's mind shut down again. An existence that is 100 times stronger than himself. Could it be that magical girls from another world are so terrifying? First of all, there was Nanoha, whose value was more than 53 times his own without using all his strength. Then another girl appeared with a value more than 100 times his own. It looks like it's in the same world as Nanoha, Ilya thought to herself. The strength of magical girls in this world is too terrifying. Chapter 77, Black Mud's True Identity. Thank you for saving me. Naya hurriedly thanked Fate, but Fate didn't pay any attention to Nanoha. Instead, he pointed the lightning battle axe to the distant clock tower. Ah, bell tower? Naya frowned as if thinking of something. Ah, you said that. Ilya also understood in an instant. Obviously, The vibration and flow of this space are so powerful. But only the upside-down bell tower has not moved since the beginning. Indeed, absolutely can't go wrong. Ilya stared at the clock tower in the distance and said solemnly, "That clock tower should be the center of this space." Ruby also answered in agreement. "If you say so, the culprit should be in there?" Miyu asked. "I'm afraid so." Sapphire nodded and replied. "The entire clock tower is covered by a very strong reading protection wall. No matter what kind of attack, it can't work." Fit looked at the clock tower in the distance and said in a deep voice, "In that case, it's easy." Nanoha held the heart of the rising sun in his hand and aimed at the clock tower in the distance. Fit looked at Naya. "If you can't do it alone, just gather everyone's strengths." Naya smiled and said to Fet next to him. Fet didn't know what to say for a while. Whoa, Suddenly, there was an exclamation from the sky. Immediately after, 5 figures fell straight from the sky. "What is that?" Ilya raised her head in confusion. "It's like you." Miyu glanced at Ilya, who was beside her, and replied somewhat uncertainly. "I." Ilya tilted her head and asked in confusion. At this time, Tianyu knocked out Medusa and Medea with a knife. Accompanied by a black mist, black mud, and Kojiro appeared in front of Tianyu. Again, Tianyu was completely speechless. Just knocked out Medusa and Medea. As a result, Kojiro appeared again. "You think this is the 5th Holy Grail War?" At this time, Tianyu set his eyes on Heimu. "You guys really haunted. You just knocked out Medea and Medusa, and you brought another Sasaki Kojiro in front of me. You think this is the 5th Holy Grail War?" Tianyu couldn't help but complained. "Did you bring me here to deal with this kid?" Kojiro frowned. "Well, hit him, and you'll be free." Black Mud nodded. "Good guy hit me?" Tianyu was stunned for a moment. Is his strength really so weak? All cats and dogs came out and said they were going to hit themselves. Right? You speak a lot more fluently than before. Tianyu touched his chin and said to the black mud in front of him, "Here is my creative space, where I can exert my greatest strength." Black Mud sneered and explained. "Speaking of which, I have a question," Tianyu said suddenly. "Do you think I'll answer it for you?" Hei and I asked rhetorically. "I'm just curious. Should I call you Angola Manuel, Avenger, or the evil of this world?" Tianyu asked curiously while touching his chin. At this time, the black mud was surprised. "You really are not ordinary. You know so much." Black Mud was also a little surprised. "So, I guess right?" Tianyu continued to ask. "What do you say?" Heimu didn't answer Tianyu's question. I felt a bit of deja vu since the last time I fought with Black Mud. Not to say that there is a sense of deja vu about this Black Mud. It was the weapon he was using at the time. It was a strange weapon shaped like the fangs of a beast. A pair of odd-shaped daggers for the backhand of different sizes and shapes. And it has weird patterns on it. After thinking about it for a long time, Tianyu did not recall it. When fighting Medea and Medusa later, it was only when I mentioned the noble phantasm that I remembered. Isn't this thing Angora Manuel's weapon left tooth bite right tooth bite? And isn't the pattern on it exactly like the curse of this world's evil? Because at that time, I was in the world of Magic Girl Nanoha. So I didn't think about it. Had it not been for Medea and Medusa, I'm afraid Tianyu can't think of it either. The black mud eye face will actually be the evil of this world. This was beyond Tianyu's expectations. Should I call you Angora Mainu or the evil of this world? Should I call you Angola Mainu more correctly? Tianyu asked curiously. The evil of this world, because I'm just a collection of pure evil thoughts and have nothing to do with Angola Manuel. The evil of this world shook his head and replied. Yes, the field fell silent for a while. The complete information of the black mud also appeared on the panel in front of Tianyu. Chapter 78. The evil of this world is different. It is clearly written in the column of the system introduction. The one in front of me is formed by the evil thoughts of the whole world. They belong to two different individuals from Angola Manuel. Angola Manuel is a collective desire, therefore. As soon as he enters the Holy Grail, it is equivalent to making a wish. The Holy Grail at that time was not contaminated. It also has the ability to fulfill wishes. Fulfill Angola Manuel's wishes collectively. The colorless power that caused the Holy Grail was contaminated. The existence in front of you is different. He is a collection of evil thoughts in the entire Type Moon world, born with the evil thoughts of all mankind. As long as the evil thoughts of people in the world of Type Moon still exist, then the black mud in front of him will not die. Even if he dies, he will be resurrected countless times because of people's evil thoughts. In fact, several previous battles, Tianyu has done a lot of damage to the evil of this world, but he still quickly recovered from the evil thoughts of the Model Moon world. As for why it will be the Type Moon world, that's because the two worlds once had a linkage. Magic Girl Ilya and Magic Girl Nanoha once had a linkage work relationship. Therefore, the barriers between the two worlds are the weakest. It is not difficult at all to break the barriers between the two worlds. Even with the current strength of Tianyu, it is still possible to break the barriers between the two worlds, from the world of Magic Girl Nanoha to the world of the Type Moon series. Looking at the information in front of you, Tianyu is also full of black lines. It turned out that as long as the linked works, the hardness of the world barrier will be reduced. As long as some special methods can be used, it can easily break the barriers between the two worlds. But what is the so-called method? Tianyu is not very clear. But judging from the news so far, the guy in front of him is definitely a match for those two suppression powers, able to collect the sins of the entire Type Moon world. It may even exist to this day. From the data presented by the system, the thing in front of him already has the power to destroy the world, because it exists outside the timeline. All evil agglomeration Tianyu doesn't believe that the two restraining forces of Gaia and Alea will let it grow. If you really let it grow, then Tianyu had nothing to say. After all, Gaia is that as long as the world is fine, it doesn't matter what happens to human beings. Alea is that as long as human beings are fine, it doesn't matter what the world is like. The evil of this world is to want to obliterate everything. This is the information given by the system for the evil of this world in front of it. On the side, Kojiro has been looking at Tianyu in front of him. There is always a feeling of DJVU. When he saw the dragon scales on Tianyu's neck, he was stunned for a moment. "Hey kid, what's your relationship with Tianyu?" Kojiro asked in a deep voice. I am Tianyu." Tianyu didn't understand what Kojiro meant for a while. "I'm talking about Takamachi Tianyu." Kojiro asked again. "My name is Takamachi Tianyu." "Why? You know me?" Tianyu asked with some doubts. This time, the figure in Kojiro's mind gradually overlapped with the figure of the cute little boy in front of him. "Your name is Takamachi Tianyu?" Kojiro asked cautiously. "Huh? My name is not Takamachi Tianyu. Your name is Takamachi Tianyu." Tianyu was a little puzzled. Why does this guy know himself? It should be the first time I meet this Sasaki Kojiro in front of me. "Do you know how to draw the sword with the two swords of the small dagger and the sword of the heart? Is the thing hanging around your neck a dragon scale?" Kojiro swallowed. Boldly asked Tianyu in front of him. "You know me?" Tianyu's eyes suddenly became sharp. "FCK. Labor and management are no longer playing. Why is that big devil?" Sasaki Kojiro completely collapsed. "I thought this kid in front of me was some ordinary character. It turned out to be the great demon king. Not sure why it got so small though. But it's not an existence that you can deal with. And that female fox treats him like a baby. If you shoot him yourself, who knows what that female fox will do to herself?" Sasaki Kojiro didn't notice at all. There were also Medea and Medusa from other worlds lying on the ground. Kojiro's attention was all on Tianyu. "Stop playing! Stop playing! I'd better go back to my Ludong temple to guard the mountain gate." Kojiro endured his fear and said to the evil of this world next to him. "Useless guy," the evil of this world said coldly. Then he controlled the power that had long been hidden in Kojiro's body. "I want Kojiro to attack Tianyu. Find someone stronger next time." Tianyu felt that something was wrong with Kojiro, teleporting over and knocking Kojiro stunned. At the same time, an energy ball gathered in his hand and threw it towards the evil of this world. This time, the energy ball thrown by Tianyu was different from before. Not only is the speed much faster than before, the entire energy ball exudes a dark purple light, full of powerful destructive power. Varied, the evil of this world has not yet reacted. The moment the energy ball approached the evil of this world, It immediately expanded dozens of times, completely swallowed the evil of this world. P.S. Actually, it was originally planned to be written from the perspective of the protagonist in Nanoha. As a result, many people were saying that the protagonist was weak and treated the black mud as an ordinary mobs. It was originally set to be a collection of evil thoughts in the world of Kyatsu, but I found that many people treated it as the little monsters that Nanoha dealt with in the first episode, so I started to pull up these contents. It will continue to be updated tonight. I hope you can support it a lot. As for those who don't like the messy drama, I'll just cut out all the other plots. After you are ready to get the content of the extra plots in these chapters, go directly back to the main plot. Chapter 79, Full Power. Exactly the same breath, the energy bomb this time is very different from the previous ones. The energy bombs that are usually thrown out are mainly milky white. This time the energy is green, more destructive than previous attacks. The green energy bullet engulfed the evil of this world in an instant. After hiding for so long, it's time to use all your strength to fight. Tianyu's appearance has also undergone some subtle changes. The muscles of the whole body began to swell up. The pupils also turned golden. Orange-red hair stood up. The original milky white arrogance turned into a green arrogance. This is the giant ape power that Tianyu has never used before. Speaking of the legendary Super Saiyan, basically, what many people think of is the Broly in the theatrical version of Dragon Ball Z. Otherwise, it is the Kale of the 6th universe. Even in the eyes of many people, the legendary Super Saiyan is synonymous with invincibility. But is it really so? Do not. What is the legendary Super Saiyan? The so-called legendary Super Saiyan is an extremely powerful being. From birth, he has a power that far surpasses that of other Saiyans. Having great power does not mean invincible. If the legendary Super Saiyan is invincible, Broly from Dragon Ball Z, Broly from Dragon Ball Super Kale of the 6th universe, these legendary Super Saiyans won't end up losing either. Saiyans can greatly improve their combat effectiveness by resurrecting from the near death. But when the strength is exercised to the limit, the combat power will not increase after falling into a dying state. The legendary Super Saiyan also has the same characteristics. It's just that the start is higher than the average Saiyan. The upper limit and combat ability are stronger. If you don't explode the powerful power in your body, it's not much different from ordinary Saiyans. I want to be in super form, then it is necessary to stimulate the growth of S cells in the body through anger and practice. If it is in a state of disparity in combat power, being able to beat someone stronger than a few times in an ordinary state is a complete fart. What could be enhanced through combat is not combat power. That which is enhanced by combat is the combat experience. When fighting on an equal or leapfrog level, combat experience is particularly important. When the Suzuka family met Seizex, if he fights with Seizex, Tianyu can definitely crush the opponent. But the damage was also enormous. It is completely impossible to defeat Seizex in a short period of time, even with reduced damage. This isn't fiction, a world where various protagonists can hang up. In less than a month, Tianyu's strength is also growing wildly, although it is still unable to transform into a Super Saiyan form. But it can use the body of a human to trigger the power of a giant ape. The appearance of Tianyu now is the form that the power of the giant ape was triggered by the human body. I remember that this space should be a linkage work of Magic Girl Nanoha x Magical Girl Ilya. Nanoha and the others should be near the center of this space. Thinking of this, Tianyu looked around. The foot turned into a streamer and flew towards the north in an instant. Based on the current basic flight speed of Tianyu, it has completely reached the standard of the speed of sound. It can reach about 340 meters per second. It seems to be a bit faster in this particular space. The huge ki and the huge magic power are mixed with each other. Perception energy has been raised to the extreme. TSK. How big is this space? I haven't found the ki or magic power of Nai Yi and the others. Am I ignoring it? Tianyu couldn't help but squeaked. It stands to reason that the level of magic power of Nanoha. Just don't hide it. It can be easily felt even in any corner of the earth. But so far, I haven't felt Nanoha's energy or magic. No, why can't you feel it? Tianyu stopped to look around and frowned. The only possibility is that it's too far, so you can't feel the breath at all? After thinking about it, there is only one possibility. There is no way to locate the location of Nanoha and others through ki and magic. Then there is no way to find where Nanoha is. Just when Tianyu was about to open the system and choose to exchange things, suddenly, an extremely huge ki appeared. This is my anger. Tianyu can clearly feel it. This air is exactly the same as his own, but it is many times stronger than his own. What's going on? Anyway, go and have a look. Tianyu sensed the specific location of this ki, increased the speed to the highest, quickly flew towards the source of this ki. Chapter 80. On Korendo Ruby, not Tosaka Rin, Nanoha and the others are fighting against an extremely large group of evil in this world. Beside her, there are 4 people who look exactly the same. Ilya. The 2 Ilyas have long pink hair. Skin appears healthy wheatish skin tone, wearing clothes similar to Red A, but it is more exposed than the Red A. Our attack didn't do much damage to it at all. Nei frowned as he quickly pulled away. Even joint damage is useless. Fate also replied in a deep voice. If only Xiao Yu was here. Naya bit her lower lip and said. This time, Nanoha finally knew what kind of monster Tianyu was facing. Even the few magical girls who joined forces could not do any harm to the guy in front of him. I thought we could solve it together. Who knew that the joint effort could not cause substantial harm? I'm afraid that only Tianyu has a solution. Yuno, who was beside him, also said in a deep voice. Damn it, where the hell did that kid go? Elf gritted his teeth and said, It seems that something is coming. Yuno suddenly hurriedly reminded. Fit, get out of the way. Elf shouted. Run. Ruby and Sapphire are also reminded. Flame, thunder, cannon. A fireball entwined with thunder and lightning flew from a distance. Bang, accompanied by a deafening bang. Everything around was turned to dust under this attack. The raised dust made it difficult for everyone to see what was going on. But seeing that the surrounding islands were all destroyed, I knew that there seemed to be an extraordinary existence. Lie. How destructive is it? Elijah's face was shocked. What a strong MS force. Another existence whose MS force cannot be measured. Ruby also felt the presence of a very strong MS force. 1 Miyu, 2 Ilyas, 2 Xiao, 2 Rin. Although they look different in age, there is also the White Moon Princess. Princess Elket? Tianyu's voice sounded from the dust. Little Feather. Naiha heard the familiar voice that he had not heard for a long time, and his face was full of excitement. Except for Nanoha, Fit, Elf, and Yuno. Everyone else present exclaimed. Nai, the one who caused this destruction, is your brother? Everyone's eyes fell on Naiha. Roar! From the dust came a roar. Another one? Tianyu in the smoke didn't even bother to continue watching. Opened his right hand. The huge green energy bomb instantly devoured everything around it. As the smoke dissipated, everyone finally saw Tianyu's face. A pair of golden pupils without any emotion, like a beast. The long orange-red hair stood up like a hedgehog. The hairstyle looks a bit like a Super Saiyan 3 hairstyle. The height didn't change much though, but because of wearing short sleeves, it can be seen that the swollen muscles give a strong explosive force. There was a green flame burning around. Okay, what a powerful oppression. Ilya looked at Tianyu with a trembling from the depths of their souls. Especially the pair of golden eyes like beasts. It seems to have seen through everything. You know us? The older Tosaka Rin looked at Tianyu in front of him with fear. Xiu, how about your hair and eyes? What's the matter? Naiha asked after swallowing her saliva. Scared you? Tianyu asked back, but there was no emotion in his voice. But Tianyu also closed his eyes. The power of the giant ape in the body was completely calmed down. The long orange hair became smooth again. Muscles that were originally swollen are also restored. Yo, you are all right. Tianyu opened his eyes and greeted with a smile. Xiu, where did you go before? I couldn't find you anywhere. Nei flew over and asked quickly. It seems that the place where the guy was teleported is too far away from you. Tianyu scratched his head with a smile and said, Right? What's up with the group of guys behind you? Tianyu pointed to the people behind him and asked, These people were suddenly involved in this world, Nanoha explained. I know, but why do you have 2 Ilias, 2 Kuro, and 2 Tosaka Rin? And why did the princess appear here? Tianyu was also a little confused when he saw this scene. What makes Tianyu puzzled the most is why El Quite is also dressed as a magical girl. I'm not Tosaka Rin. I'm Kalendora Billa, the older Tosaka Rin said with a flushed face. Chapter 81. Ways to go back. It's obvious that she has become a magical ant, and she has to call herself a magical girl. The magical girl should let Lowly be the one. The ruby in the hands of the older Tosaka Rin complained. Oh, who are you calling the ant? Rin Odasaka, who hears his ruby constantly complaining. His face suddenly turned as black as the bottom of a pot. His eyes were full of murderous intent, and he looked at the ruby in his hand. Well, stop arguing. Kodasaka Rin hurriedly stepped forward to stop him. By the way, you look like you are from different time and space. Can you tell me what time and space you all come from? And why are you in this place? Tianyu wondered why so many were identical. It is understandable that Xiao and Ilya are similar. What happened to the other Xiao and Ilya? Why did 2 Tosaka Rin suddenly appear? What's up with El Quite's outfit? All kinds of questions made Tianyu's mind unable to turn around. I clearly remember this linkage. Only Ilya, Nanoha, Miyu, and Fit are right. What about the others? Under everyone's talkative explanations, Tianyu understood. Ilya, Miyu, and Xiao belong to the same world. They are all from the world of Magic Girl Ilya. It's just that Ilya and Miyu are from the same timeline. Xiao is from another timeline. Another Ilya is from the game Fate/Grand Order. Ilya, whose job is caster. Another Little Black is also from the game Fate/Grand Order. Xiao whose job is archer. 2 people are from the same world. Kodasaka Rin is from the world of Fate/Hollow Ataraxia. As soon as I accidentally discovered the ruby, I was inexplicably brought into this world. Rin Odasaka and El Quite are from the world of White Tsukihime. It can be said that everyone present is from different worlds. In order to distinguish Ilya, whose job is caster, she calls her caster. Xiao whose job is archer, calls her archer. I understand the general situation, as long as you destroy the clock tower. Tianyu's eyes turned to the upside-down clock tower. Yeah, if you guess correctly, the culprit who caused all this should be in that clock tower. Miyu explained, but the entire bell tower is covered by a very high-strength protective shield. No matter how much we attack it, it can't be effective. Even if we join forces, we can't break it. Fed also spoke out about the problems he is currently facing. Can't you break it together? Tianyu was also a little surprised. In the original book, Ilya, Nanoha, Miyu, and Fit can break it together. But now several magical girls can't join forces? If you can break that barrier and get rid of the last enemy, you can leave here. Urquite looked at the clock tower in the distance and said, Really? I'd like to see how tough it is. Tianyu randomly condensed an energy bullet in his right hand. Without hesitation, he threw it towards the clock tower. When the energy ball touched the clock tower, it was blocked by an inexplicable shield. However, this energy bullet did not cause any actual damage to the energy shield. I don't believe it anymore. Tianyu raised ki and magic power to the highest level. Once again, gathered an energy bomb. It still doesn't cause much substantial damage. Don't try it. At least a MS power of more than 500W can break this. The ruby in Ilya's hand said helplessly. Does it need to be this high? Elijah was surprised. We are less than 500W in bits and pieces. Castor said a little disappointed. Isn't there any other way? Urquite said unwillingly. If you use your bonus ability, you may be able to barely reach 500W magic power. Yuno said after thinking for a while. Increase. Archer asked curiously. You still have such amazing abilities. Odasaka Rin said with emotion. So, we can get out of here? Kodasaka Rin got excited. Can you do it? Fate asked with some concern. How do you know if you don't try? Can Xiao Yu ask you? Nanoha clenched the heart of the rising sun in her hands. Don't be so troublesome. Tianyu shook his head and replied. Yeah. Miyu was puzzled again. Does he have a better solution? Chapter 82. return to their respective worlds, since it only needs 500 W of damage. Then I will smash the barrier completely in one go. Suddenly, Tianyu activated the power of the giant ape in his body again. The eyes turned into beast-like golden eyes again. The muscles also began to swell. The body also reburned with green arrogance. Then, I'm here to help. Nanoha concentrated the magic power on the heart of the rising sun in his hand. Prepare for a powerful Tianjin Lai Pe. All the magic power in the space was concentrated on the magic circle that appeared in the previous section. Even Nanoha's own magic power was released. The surrounding magic power was all gathered in the center of the magic circle like a trend. Here and there is Tianjin Liepa. This is clearly famous Starlight Breaker, Starlight Burst, a skill whose power is stronger than Tenjin Riepo. Then I'll do it too. Miyu took out a card and threw it towards the front of the sapphire in her hand. Saber, limited expansion. Suddenly, the sapphire in the beautiful traveler turned into an EX curry stick. No, it was the sword of vowed victory. Miss Miyu. Nanoha's gaze turned to Miyu, who was beside her. Although I don't have any confidence in the damage output, I am one of them. Ilya's fighting spirit was also high. Miss Elijah. Nanoha's gaze turned to Ilya again. I'll come too. Although the magic power is not enough, fantastic stars. But the thunder and wrath are more than enough. Fei Te also clenched the lightning battle axe in his hand. Put all the magic in it. I'm coming too. Archer held a longbow in one hand. In the other hand, a spiral sword appeared. You've already shot, so I can't help but attack. Blackie pouted. In his hand, a longbow appeared in the same way. An arrow appeared in the other hand. Why are your skills so gorgeous? Elk White pouted. He raised the wand in his hand high. Then we can't be left behind. Otahaka Rin also clenched the wand in his hand. Kodasaka Rin nodded in agreement. I'm going too. Castor saw that everyone was ready to attack. He gathered all his magic power on the ruby in his hand. Nay, it's up to you to give orders. Tianyu glanced at Nanoha next to him and said. At the same time, the ki in the body began to gather continuously. Preparation, flame, thunder, cannon, starlight breaker, thunderage, Excalibur, sword of promised victory, Maximalschneid, maximum slash, Calibalg, pseudo spiral sword 3, broken phantasm, marble phantasm, maximal fire, X2. The crowd's attack accurately hit the tower in the distance. The violent explosion was earth-shattering. Success! Naruto shouted excitedly. There seems to be someone there? Fett said with some uncertainty. Immediately afterwards, two figures, one red and one blue, appeared, and the two were fighting together. Did you come out? The prisoner. Miyu was stunned when she saw the so-called prisoner. Prisoner? Yeah. Ilya also saw the faces of the two prisoners clearly. It's them. Everyone present tacitly turned their eyes to the two Tosaka Rin behind him. Another Tosaka Rin and another Livia. Tianyu looked at the figure in the distance and said leisurely, that's right. The red figure is Rin Tosaka, the blue figure is Livia Celida Edelfelt. Make them unconscious. This space should be closed. The ruby in Ilya's hand said quickly. Really? Every time? I have to involve people for no reason. An angry Ilya rushed up instantly. A white paper fan appeared in front of the ruby in his hand. Crack, crack, accompanied by two crisp sounds. Ilya stunned Tosaka Rin and Livia. Tianyu took advantage of the situation to catch Tosaka Rin and Livia, who fell. At this time, the bell tower in the distance began to glow. The interior of the clock tower is starting to glow. Elijah exclaimed. That's the channel formed after the world is unfused. Tianyu took a look and explained. What should these two do? Miyu asked curiously. Just throw them in from the inside of the clock tower. Sapphire explained to Miyu. I'm leaving first, Elf. Fit was the first to fly towards the clock tower. Fit. Before Nay could react, Fate had already left. Okay. Elf quickly followed. However, these two people are really amazing. They are able to mix so many worlds together. Where did the two of them come from? Yuno looked at the two people that Tianyu was carrying and said, in that world. Tianyu pouted and said disdainfully, I'm leaving first, and I'll throw these two guys in. Tianyu instantly rose from the ground and rushed towards the bell tower in the distance. Then let's go too. Castor said something and was about to leave. Is that your brother? It looks difficult to get along with. Miyu walked over to Nanoha and said, Yeah, but Xiao Yu is not difficult to get along with at all. Don't look at him always being so childish. In fact, when it comes to business, it's like a different person. It's not as difficult to get along with as you think. Naya's eyes were filled with tenderness. After all, the current Tianyu is only a 4-year-old child. That girl is the child you want to be friends with, right? It seems that it will be a little difficult to get along. Ilya scratched her cheek and said embarrassedly. Yes, Naya was also a little embarrassed. But I think I can definitely do it, and we can definitely become friends like you, Naya said with a smile. Well, I thought so too. Elijah nodded. I'm leaving first. Nanoha rushed into the clock tower, holding the heart of the rising sun. Bye now. Ilya looked at Nanoha's back and whispered, It's only been a while since we met, but it feels the same way for a long time. P.S. This chapter is finally finished. I feel that many people are very unfamiliar with this collaborative work. There was originally a lot of content, but after careful consideration, I decided to delete it. From the next chapter, I will completely return to the story of the magical girl Nanoha. Everyone doesn't like all kinds of rambling and interlocking stories, so I shouldn't write about this in the future. After writing the last and first story, I will strive to go to other worlds or other plots for a little transition in the 3 pieces, and then directly enter the plot of AS Chapter 83. Nanoha's determination back in the original world. Fei stood on the roof of the building. The approximate location of the Holy Stone Seed should be around here, but the precise location cannot be locked. Fei said softly, looking at the street below him. Such a noisy place. It's really hard to find it. Elf also agrees. At this time, Elf still maintained the form of a beast. Then only, use a little rude means, force the flow of magic power to force the Holy Stone Seed to activate, so that the specific location should be able to be found. Fei raised the lightning battle axe in his hand. Prepare to use your own magic power to forcefully activate it. I'll wait. Elf spoke quickly. Fei looked at Elf beside him with some doubts. Just leave this to me. Elf quickly said that it would be fine to leave it to herself. Can you do it? It will be very tiring if you do this. Fei looked at Elf with some worry. Humph. Whose servant do you think I am? Elf Tsundere replied. In that space not long ago, Fei had used a lot of magic power. The magic power is now running out. Activating such a huge flow of magic power again prompted the activation of the Holy Stone Seed. Even Fei couldn't take it, so Elf volunteered to stop this matter. Then please, Fei said to Elf with a smile. In fact, Fei understands it himself. Unleashing a large-scale magic flow with his current magic power is undoubtedly a very difficult task. It took a lot of energy to conduct a large-scale, wide-area search from the very beginning, and went to the other world to fight. If a large-scale flow of magic power is activated again, then there is not enough physical strength to seal. The most important thing, I am afraid that Nani has already returned to this world. So you must act fast. Then start. Elf unleashed her own magic. An orange-red, mid-Certa-style magic circle also appeared under his feet. Elf is different from Fei, although it relies on Fei's magic power to act. But the spiritual power belongs to oneself. It takes a lot of mental energy to activate a huge flow of magic power. Suddenly, an orange-red light shot straight into the sky. The bright moon in the sky was gradually shrouded in dark clouds. Darkness enveloped the entire town. Countless thunder and lightning continued to rage in the dark clouds. Forcibly activate the Holy Stone Seed in the bustling area? It's ridiculous. They must be stopped. Yuno looked incredible. I didn't expect Fei and the others to be so crazy. In the downtown area of the city, use magic to forcefully activate the Holy Stone Seed. At the same time, Yuno immediately unleashed his magic power. I want to activate the barrier to avoid unnecessary confusion. Little feather. Suddenly, Nei looked at Tianyu, who was beside him. Huh? What's wrong? Tianyu turned his head to look at Nanoha. I hope Fei Te can be handed over to me, and I want to have a good talk with her. Nei looked at Tianyu firmly. Speak your mind. Talk, talk. A picture appeared in Tianyu's mind. Naiba held the heart of the rising sun and shouted to fight in front of him. Let's have a good talk. Fei Te said, I have nothing to talk to you about. Nai shouted, since there is nothing to talk about, I will let you calm down. Afterwards, Nei fired a cannonball at Fight. Xiao Yu. Xiao Yu. Naya hurriedly shouted. Oh, if that's the case, then I won't interfere. Tianyu nodded and replied. Since it was Nei's idea, there was no need to stop him. If I remember correctly, according to the development in the original, the battle between Nanoha and Fei Te will end with a broken magic tool. The two of them sealed the Sacred Stone Seed at the same time. As a result, the space station attracted the attention of the Time and Space Administration. Oh, Naya nodded vigorously. Do what you want to do. No matter what happens, you have to carry it. Tianyu replied with a chuckle. It is just one of the ships of the Dimensional Navigation Force of the General Administration of Time and Space. Even the weapon it carries is nothing but the Rainbow Cannon. Energy weapons. It can't do any harm to Tianyu if you really PD yourself off. The big deal is to directly blow up the ship of the Time and Space Administration. The power to destroy even planets. I don't believe that the mere ships can stop it. Thinking of this, Tianyu asked Nei to give it a shot according to his own intentions. P.S. I really didn't expect that there were so few people who knew about this collaborative work. Many people thought I was scribbling. I'm really sorry. As for whether the Book of Night Sky has been forgotten by me, why hasn't it appeared yet? And how to solve the problem of wind in the future. Don't worry about these problems. In fact, you have already thought about them a long time ago. And it is not yet time to start. But soon. Thanks for your support. Chapter 84. Tianyu's plan. A blue light pierced the sky in the distance. Found it, Fei Te said excitedly. But they're around here too, Elf said in a low voice. Then do it as soon as possible. Leguang Tomahawk. Fei Te also knew that it couldn't be delayed any longer. Tianyu's strength is far beyond imagination. We must seal the Holy Stone Seed before they arrive. Sealing form set UP. Sealing form, start. The lightning war axe was also immediately transformed into a sealed form. Naoi, you can see the activated Holy Stone Seed handle. Tianyu asked while looking at the blue beam in the distance. Nanoha's gaze also stayed on the blue light beam that pierced the sky in the distance. Fei Te and the others should be around there. Do whatever you want. Tianyu said with a chuckle. You have to grab the seed of the Holy Stone and seal it in front of them. Yuno was very anxious, for fear of being preemptively sealed by Fei Te and the others. Well, I understand. Naya nodded vigorously. Sealing form set P. Sealing form, start. The heart of the rising sun also transformed into a sealed form. Oops! Fei Te on the top of the distant building also sensed Nanoha's magic power fluctuations. I want to seal the Holy Stone Seed first. Naya was not to be outdone. It also controls the heart of the rising sun to seal remotely. Two magical powers hit the Holy Stone Seed at the same time. The Sacred Stone Seed also slowly lifted into the air under the mutual traction of the two magic powers. Lily Kalu, Maggie Kalu! Nanoha shouted out her own magic spell. This enhances the ability to seal. The seed of the Holy Stone, NO.19, number 19, Fei Te also increased the output of magic power. Both of them want to preemptively seal the Sacred Stone Seed. Seal up, print, Nanoha and Fei Te have adjusted their magic power to the maximum in an instant. Two huge magical powers confronted each other. They all want to seal the Sacred Stone Seed. If it continues like this, I'm afraid it will cause trouble, Yuno said nervously. Trust them. Tianyu ignored Yuno after he finished speaking. A special power was released from the Holy Stone Seed. Cancel the magic power of two people at the same time. Devise mode. The heart of the rising sun also exits seal mode and returns to wand mode. Nanoha walked towards the Sacred Stone Seed in front of her step by step. Looking at the Sacred Stone Seed in front of me, I don't know what to think. Nanoha, hurry up and capture it. Yuno saw that Fei Te and the others had not yet appeared. Therefore, he hurriedly urged Nanoha to seal. who will give you a chance. Elf's voice sounded from the air. He looked up and saw a black shadow coming from the sky. Nanoha, Yuno exclaimed, quickly released a shield to help Nanoha resist. Key. Elf hit the shield. Jump aside with the help of a shield. His eyes were always on Tianyu and Yuno. Elf understood. Even if I go with Fei, I am afraid it is not the opponent of this guy. Fight looked down at Nai and Tianyu in front of him. First, he glanced at Tianyu. The person she fears most in her heart is Tianyu in front of her. Don't look at me. Tianyu saw that Fei Te's eyes fell on himself. I knew she was afraid of herself, for fear that he would snatch the sacred stone seed. So he shrugged and said that he would not snatch it. Then Fit turned his attention to Nei. Nei also looked at Fate. Because they each have different goals, it is inevitable that they will be hostile to each other. Otherwise, the two of them can become very good friends. Tianyu, who was on the side, looked at Fate and Nanoha. I couldn't help sighing inwardly. If it weren't for this sacred stone seed thing, the two should be able to become good friends, rather than being hostile as it is now. I really hope these two can get along well soon. If it wasn't for Prisia, suddenly Tianyu thought of something. Prisia? Maybe it can be solved like this. Tianyu pondered for a moment. Then the brain started to spin like crazy. A particular solution was quickly worked out in my mind. But if you do, then you are going against the entire Time and Space Administration. Although Tianyu is not afraid of the Time and Space Administration, but if you do it yourself, you will inevitably cause some unnecessary troubles. So you have to come up with a perfect plan to solve this troublesome thing. Chapter 85. Nanoha and Fight who can't understand each other. I haven't introduced myself last time. My name is Nanoha, Takamachi Nanoha. I'm currently a third-year student at the elementary school affiliated to Seiko University. Nanoha takes a step forward. He introduced himself to Fed in the air. Psi-form Fate ignored Nanoha. Just choose to convert the Thunder Light Battle Axe in his hand from the Battle Axe form to the Light Sickle form. What? Nanoha quickly clenched the heart of the rising sun in her hands. But in his head, he thought, why, her eyes are full of loneliness. Fate closed his eyes gently. It was as if a major decision had been made. Waving the Thunder Light Battle Axe in his hand, he charged towards Nanoha below. Flyer Fin, Nanoha hurriedly activated magic. Quickly dodge Feet's attack. The two of you are constantly fighting with each other. Tianyu chose to wait and watch silently. Elf was worried that Tianyu would suddenly choose to shoot. Choose to stare at Tianyu to prevent him from shooting. Yuno knew that Tianyu would not shoot. So choose to stare at Elf, for fear that Elf would suddenly rush up to attack Nanoha. Fit! Naiha and Fate instantly distanced themselves. Looking at Fate in the distance, he shouted. Fate didn't understand what Now Yi suddenly called him to do. You said, it is impossible to solve problems only by talking and only relying on words. However, if we give up dialogue, then we will never be able to understand each other. Maybe our opposition is inevitable, but I don't want to fighting with you for no apparent reason. Naiha has been on getting to know Fate. I hope to become friends with Fate like Ilya and Miyu. Why does this sentence sound so familiar? Tianyu at the bottom couldn't help but complained. I collected the seeds of holy stones to help Jun Yuno, who discovered the seeds of holy stones. He has the responsibility to recycle them, so I choose to help him. Nanoha revealed the reason why he collected the holy stone seed. Although I was involved in this incident by accident, but now I am collecting the holy stone seed by my own will, because I don't want to see it bring disaster to the surrounding. This is the reasons for my collection. Nanoha yelled at Fate. There was a lonely look in Feet's eyes. When I was about to answer, Fit, no need to answer. Elf shouted to Fed in the sky. What? Fit and Nanoha's eyes all turned to Elf below. There is nothing to talk about with this little girl who lives in doting. Our first mission is to obtain the seed of the holy stone. Elf shouted. Fate's eyes became firm again. He clenched the Thunderlight Battle Axe in his hand again. Nana? Yuno quickly reminded loudly. It's fine. Naya shook his head. She believed that Fet would not attack her. Really? Fit turned his gaze to the holy stone seed below. After preparing to seal the holy stone seed, leave here quickly. Give up and continue to entangle with Nanoha. There are 3 reasons for this. First, your goal is to collect the Holy Stone Seed. Second, I was afraid that I would hurt Nanoha. Third, below is where Tianyu is eyeing. What? Nanoha also saw Fei rushing towards the Sacred Stone Seed, so he also flew towards the Sacred Stone Seed quickly. The magic tools of the 2 people touched the Holy Stone Seed at the same time in a cross manner. They all want to take in this Sacred Stone Seed. The magic power of the 2 people once again produced strong fluctuations, and even the Holy Stone Seed began to resonate. The powerful force caused a crack in the magic tools of the 2 people. An extremely powerful force was released from the Holy Stone Seed. Dazzling white light illuminates the entire Hyaming city. Both of them were blinded by the dazzling white light at the same time. At the same time, because of the powerful fluctuations, it was thrown out and exclaimed. Outside the enchantment, Tsugamura Suzuka just finished the cram school with Alyssa. This energy fluctuation, what happened? Suzuka looked at the distant sky and thought to herself. Suzuka, who is a relatively high bloodline member of the vampire Tsukamura clan, can clearly perceive this inexplicable fluctuation. Suzuka, what's wrong? Seeing the dazed Suzuka, Eliza asked curiously. Nothing. Suzuka smiled and shook his head. After all, you can't reveal your true identity anyway. Otherwise, there is no way to get along with friends. Suzuka, who was worried about Nanoha, took out her phone and wanted to see if Nanoha had sent a message back to herself. Pity. No new text messages were received on the phone. I'm starving. Let's go back, Alicia said to Suzuka while standing in front of her car door. Suzuka pushed those thoughts out of his head. Presumably my sister felt it too. What happened? My sister Tsukamura Shinobu should solve it. Chapter 86. Nanoha's faith. The final ending is naturally the same as the original, and the 2 magic tools are damaged at the same time. Fei touched the Holy Stone Seed that radiated powerful energy with his hand, because it is forced to suppress it with its own magic power. Got some damage. Elf left the place with Fei. Back at home, Tianyu helped Nei heal the wounds. Let Nani wash up and get ready for bed. Tianyu and Yuno came to Nanoha's room. Yuno, who came to the room, jumped to Nanoha's desk. Look at the heart of the rising sun placed on top. It is clear that the heart of the rising sun is a magic tool that can withstand great magic. But why? Why was it damaged so badly at that moment? Yuno frowned at the damaged rising sun's heart in front of him, puzzled. Could it be because that girl collided with Nanoha's magical power? No, it can't be explained like that, so there is only one last possibility. No, this must be the seed of the Holy Stone. Yuno was still thinking. At this time, Nanoha, who was wearing pajamas after taking a shower, pushed the door and walked in with cookies and milk. Yuno-kun, don't worry about the heart of the rising sun, Naya asked worriedly. Yeah, although it's seriously damaged, it's fine. The heart of the rising sun has fully activated its self-healing function, and it should be able to recover smoothly tomorrow. Yuno also said somewhat uncertainly. Tomorrow. Naya looked at the heart of the rising sun and became a little worried. Where's Naiba? You're fine, Yuno asked Tianyu. Yeah, thanks to the heart of the rising sun for protecting me, and Xiao Yu also helped me heal. Naya said that he was fine. Instead, he turned his attention back to the heart of the rising sun. Sorry. Heart of the rising sun, Naiba said to the rising sun heart with some guilt. Isn't it just damaged? Look at how you make a fuss. Tianyu was drinking milk and eating biscuits comfortably beside him. A relaxed look. Nei's eyes turned to Tianyu. Since Tianyu said so, does Tianyu have a way to quickly repair the heart of the rising sun? How hard can it be to fix this thing? Tianyu pouted and put the milk on the tray again. The index finger of the right hand was gently placed on the heart of the rising sun. Next moment, a surprising situation arose. The cracks all over the heart of the rising sun began to recover quickly. Pretty soon, it felt like what was damaged before was just a dream. Fixed. Yuno was shocked. Just put your index finger on the heart of the rising sun and easily repair the broken heart of the rising sun? Is this guy really human? Yuno fell into chaos for a while. It's done. Tianyu nodded with satisfaction. Recovery complete. The Heart of the Rising Sun also stated that it had successfully repaired it. Okay, I'm going to bed. I have to get up early to practice tomorrow morning. Tianyu picked up the milk on the tray and drank it. Get ready to go back to your room to sleep. A few days ago, the room was completely fixed. Usually, the two kittens, Hey Gu and Bain, stay in the room and sleep obediently. Nor will it sneak out. It's pretty easy to keep. Wait a minute, that! Just as Tianyu was about to leave, Naya's voice suddenly recalled. Huh, is there anything else? Tianyu asked Nanoha in front of him with some doubts. I've thought about it. I'm still very concerned about that girl, Fit. Nei said to Tianyu. Very concerned? Tianyu was stunned for a moment. What happened to Naya all of a sudden? She is so strong, although she is a little cold. But her eyes are so beautiful and kind. However, there is sadness in her eyes. Naya couldn't help but recall fate. Do you remember what I said? Everyone has their own secrets, different pasts, and maybe it's because of what happened to them that they became what they are now. Tianyu said softly. Yeah, she must have collected the holy stone seed for some reason. So, I want to open up to that girl because I need to get stronger. Nei looked at Tianyu in front of him and said resolutely. Get stronger? Tianyu looked at Nani's determined gaze. Don't know what to think. Tomorrow morning, 6 o'clock, see you at the gym. After saying that, Tianyu went straight back to his room. Naya nodded vigorously, although Nanoha has not had much interest in becoming stronger for a long time. This time, Naya was full of faith. Stronger? Faith. Chapter 87. Miyuki's morning talk with Tianyu. Early morning, Miyuki and Tianyu ran side by side in the morning. Xiao Yu, how are you feeling this morning? Miyuki curiously asked Tianyu, the baby girl beside her. It's okay. After all, I've already gotten used to it. By the way, how are you thinking about what I told you? Tianyu tilted his head and looked at Miyuki and asked. The thing about teaching Nanoha to fight? Miyuki was obviously hesitant. Tianyu nodded. Yes, but why teach Nanoha to fight? Miyuki was silent for a moment and asked. Do you think there are ordinary people in our Takamachi family? Tianyu asked with a chuckle. Yes. Are there really ordinary people in Tianyu's family? If you want to say ordinary, I am afraid that only Nanoha and Momoko are the two. Even Tianyu is destined to have an extraordinary future. It's a shocking thing that a 4-year-old child can have such terrifying power. Will Nanoha's future really be ordinary? Do you know why Nanoha has been so abnormal recently? Miyuki asked after being silent for a while. Tianyu nodded. Later, he revealed the whole story of Nanoha becoming a magical girl, including the matter of fight. Nanoha collected the Holy Stone Seed for everything Naya has encountered so far. However, he hid his true strength and also hid his encounter with Ilya and others. Basically, it is explained according to the plot in the original book. So, the current Nanoha has become a magical girl because of Yuno-kun? Miyuki was very surprised. It turns out that magic really exists in this world. Although she has become a magical girl, her combat experience is poor. Tianyu sighed. Lack of combat experience? But from your current perspective, Nanoha should be enough to deal with it. Miyuki asked Tianyu curiously. Having said that, but the future is hard to say. Tianyu shook his head. Are you afraid that something will go wrong in the future? Miyuki asked. The current Nanoha doesn't use the power in her body properly. I'm really afraid that someday something will go wrong. So I hope you can teach Nanoha the experience of fighting. Tianyu recalled that incident in the original book. If you do the math, you only have about 2 or 3 years left. Much before that, Nanoha had to have the power to protect herself. What about you? Why don't you teach Nanoha? You should have more combat experience. Miyuki tilted her head and asked. Alas! But when it comes to actual combat, it is less than you. Tianyu sighed a little helplessly. His fighting style is completely in the tradition of Science. Always very bellicose when it comes to combat. It's not wise to let yourself teach Nanoha. Wouldn't it be better to let Gong also teach you? Miyuki asked in confusion. I don't want others to know about this matter yet. Tianyu shook his head. Are you planning to solve it secretly? Suddenly, Miyu asked Tianyu in hope. Tianyu was stunned for a moment. Given how much you love Nanoha, you shouldn't let her get involved in such a dangerous thing, Miyuki said with a smile. What do you think? Tianyu asked with a smile. In Tianyu's opinion, there is no need to hide something from Miyuki at all, and it would be better to leave it to Miyuki to train. I go first. Tianyu then ran towards the front. Hey, are you going there? Miyuki looked at Tianyu, who was leaving, and asked loudly. I have something to leave for a while, and I'll be back later. Go back and teach Naya first. Tianyu turned his head and replied. This child. Miyuki smiled wryly and shook her head. Obviously, it's just a little baby who is only 4 years old. But it always shows maturity that is not in line with this age. Especially when it comes to Nanoha, the relationship between the two has been very good since childhood. Even the quarrel never happened. So far, it's only been the last quarrel. The relationship between the two is more like a couple. The so-called sibling quarrel seems to Miyuki more like a couple quarrel. Tianyu looked childish at that time, more like a 4-year-old baby. But when he encounters other things about Nanoha, he will become more mature. Really, it's almost 6 o'clock in the world. Miyuki smiled and shook her head. He turned his head and ran slowly in the direction of Takamachi. Tianyu was planning to go to the nearby Vision City. It should be almost time to figure it out. Just take this opportunity to solve the problem well. Chapter 88. Go to Foresight City and talk to Fei Te at Tianyu's current speed, even in the form of running. It doesn't take much time to go from Haiming City to Yuanjian City. Takamachi is located in Haiming City. The adjacent city is Tianyu's Vision City this time. At this time, on the top of a golden apartment building in the residential area of Yuanjian City, there was a girl in a long black dress with blonde hair, holding a white cardboard box in his hands. Take this as a gift. The girl's voice is soft. You really are here? Tianyu slowly landed in front of the girl and said leisurely. It's you. The girl with long orange-red hair, standing beside the girl, instantly became vigilant. Don't be so nervous. I saw the girl looking at me vigilantly. Tianyu just smiled slightly. UBD. Why are you here? The girl grinned at Tianyu and roared in a low voice. My goal this time is not to find you. Of course, it can also be said to be looking for you. Tianyu tilted his head and said with a chuckle. What's the meaning? The girl has not spoken yet. The girl next to her couldn't help it anymore. Hey, if you dare to talk to me like this, I would definitely slap that sable to death. Tianyu couldn't help but complained in his heart. Why do you know I'm here? The girl raised her head and looked blankly at Tianyu in front of her. Fit Elf, we've met more than once. It's necessary to be so vigilant. Tianyu replied with a smile. That's right. This girl with long blonde hair is the favorite concubine Fei Te. The one with long orange-red hair next to her is her servant demon, Elf. Tianyu came to Yuanjian City on this trip to find the two of them. You came to me for the seed of the Holy Stone? Fate asked with a frown. Do you think if I came for the Holy Stone seed, would I let you take it away before? Tianyu just smiled. This fight also felt that Tianyu was right. If he came here for the sacred stone seed, then I won't let myself take it away before. Then what's your purpose here? Elf still looks vigilant. I'm here for 2 purposes. Saying that, Tianyu stretched out 2 fingers. 2 purposes? Fei was a little puzzled. The first one, I'm here to see if your injury is serious, and I'm here to help you treat it. Tianyu slowly stated his first purpose. Thank you for your relationship. My injury doesn't matter. Fitz shook his head and replied, Second, I'm looking for you in the hope that you can take me to Precious Testroza. Immediately afterwards, Tianyu stated his second purpose. Looking for that woman? When Elf heard that Tianyu's goal was to find that woman, his eyes instantly became sharper. Looking for mother? Fei Te also didn't know why Tianyu in front of him was looking for his mother. And also know the mother's name. You guy, is it the Magister of the Authority? Elf became more vigilant. In fact, no one should know about Precious Testroza. But the boy in front of him knew it. In Elf's heart, he had already determined that Tianyu in front of him was the Magister of the Time and Space Administration. This is the world outside the 97th Management, the world whose local name is Earth. How could anyone know about the existence of Precious Testroza? Even in Midsurda, no one other than the Time and Space Administration knew about the existence of Precious Testroza. I'm really not a magician from the Authority. I just asked you to take me to the Garden of Time to talk to Precious Testroza about something. Tianyu has spoken his intentions. Fit, can't trust this guy. Elf said next to Fate. Oh, Fei responded. Then he turned his gaze back to Tianyu in front of him. What's the matter with you looking for my mother? Fei asked again. I just made a deal with Prexia and wanted to talk to her. This matter has nothing to do with you, but speaking of this, the corner of Tianyu's mouth couldn't help but rise. But what? Elf asked loudly. If you don't take me to Prexia Testroza, I dare say, she'll be furious when she finds out about it. Tianyu said with certainty. Mom, will you be angry? Fei heard Tianyu say that he would not take him to find Prexia. When Prexia gets angry, the pupils could not help but shrink violently. Chapter 89. The Cruel and Hypocritical Mother. If you don't believe me, you can bring this thing to Prexia, and when you need it, you can come to see me at the Tsu Cafe in Hyaming City. Tianyu turned his hands over, and an envelope appeared in his hands. At the same time, he threw an emerald green bead to Fei not far away. What is this? Fei reached out and caught the envelope and the bead. Just leave it to Prexia. Tianyu flicked his fingers. A pure magic power was instantly injected into Fei Te's body. Huh? What did you do to Fei? Seeing this, Elf hurriedly roared at Tianyu with a grin. The fingers of both hands also began to become sharper. There is a stance that he will go to work if he disagrees. I'll just help Fei treat the injury in his body. Tianyu left the place without looking back. Damn it, guy Fei, you're fine. Elf glared fiercely at Tianyu, who was far away. He turned his attention to Fei, who was beside him. I'm fine. Instead, I feel that all the injuries in my body have healed. Fei shook his head and said somewhat uncertainly. Above the sky, Tianyu stared at Fei and Elf below. Prexia Testroza, I hope you don't know what to do, but I've already prepared my back, so that shouldn't happen when Fei returns. Tianyu shook his head and muttered, although a little worried about Fei. But some things can't be forced. And in terms of time, people from the Time and Space Administration should arrive here this afternoon. Then go back to Hyaming City first. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. If you stay outside for too long, Mom and Dad will be worried. Tianyu started to rush back. After all, there are other things to prepare for. You can't just waste your time with Fei. On the other side, Fei saw that Tianyu had left. Fei also began to use the dimensional transfer magic to transfer. Dimensional transfer, dimensional coordinates. Fei began to whisper the coordinates of his destination. Open it. The door of the dimension, the goal, the garden of time, the side of the patriarch of Testroza. Fei's voice just fell. Then the two of them disappeared with Elf. In the garden of time, in the high-dimensional space, a golden magic circle suddenly appeared on the ground, and the figures of Fei and Elf appeared in the magic circle. I'll go find my mother first. Fei turned his head and said to Elf, who was beside him. But Elf said with some concern, It's fine. Fei smiled and shook his head. But there was a look of fear in the depths of his eyes. It's hard to believe that a girl could look in fear of her own mother. I really don't know what exactly happened to Fei before. The left hand is holding a white box. The right hand is holding the envelope and the jade green bead that Tianyu threw to him. After a moment of hesitation, his eyes were on the top of the golden door in front of him. After taking a deep breath, he pushed the door open and walked in. I'm back, Mother. Fei looked at the figure behind the desk with some fear. There was a woman with black, gray waist-length hair sitting there. He looks like he is in his 30s. She was wearing a slim, dark purple dress. Long hair covered her left eye. There is also a cloak of the magician in the film and television drama behind it. I saw Prexia supported on the desk in front of her with her hands and fingers crossed, looking at Fei with cold eyes. Why did you come back so soon? Have you collected all the 21 holy stone seeds? Prexia looked at Fei and said coldly. Hearing Prexia mentioning the seed of the holy stone, Fei lowered his head and dared not look directly at Prexia, and his body began to tremble slightly. Prexia got up and walked towards Fei, and Fei became even more frightened when he saw Prexia standing up. Do you remember what I said to you? Prexia's tone turned cold. That? Fei was too frightened to move and leaned back slightly. I should have said, you have to collect all 21 holy stone seeds, right? Prexia's tone became a little displeased, and she started to use her magic power with her right hand. Soon a solid whip was condensed in his hand. That. Fei looked at Prexia with fear in his eyes. Don't you know? Those things are indispensable to my research, and you didn't bring any of them back," Preja said angrily to Fate. Chapter 90. The alliance between Nanoha and Fight in the afternoon. Tianyu played with the two kittens Heigu and Baiyin in the room. Inadvertently glanced at the head on the side of the bed. It's 6:23 p.m. on April 27th. If I remember correctly, there's about a minute or so before the Holy Stone Seed will be activated. I just don't know if it's in Haiming City, Linhai Park, or something like a port by the sea. I hope there won't be any major problems. Tianyu's expression also became somewhat cautious. In the TV version, a Holy Stone Seed was launched in Linhai Park in Haiming City. And in the theater version, it was launched at a port near Haiming City. Meow. The two kittens, Heigu and Baiyin, seemed to sense that Tianyu's emotions were not quite right. So he kept rubbing Tianyu with his little head. "I'm fine. You two little guys have to be obedient at home. I need to go out and fix something." Tianyu smiled and rubbed the little heads of the two kittens. In some grass in Linhai Park, lying there is a rhombus with a blue body. The energy is constantly spreading around. It is the sacred stone seed. As the frequency of the energy released by the Holy Stone Seed became faster and faster, a blue light pierced the sky. It caught the attention of Fight and Naiha. Gradually, the Holy Stone Seed began to merge with the tree behind him. The trees began to twist. Then it became huge at an astonishing speed visible to the naked eye. Sealing time barrier unfold. Yuno also hurriedly aimed his small paws at the ground. Release the magic within the body to create a barrier. Prevent a huge impact. Soon, the tree that fused the power of the Holy Stone Seed began to continuously become a tall tree man. Naba was also very cautious and aimed the heart of the rising sun in front of the tree man in front of him. Fett, who was standing at the top of the telephone pole not far away, did not hesitate. Photon Lancer, Fett was the first to attack the tree man. Pity the attack was offset by the energy shield deployed by the tree man. Roar! The tree man let out a roar like a beast. Oh, this thing actually deploys its protective cover next to Fett. Elfin beast form looked at the tree man in front of him with interest. It's a little trickier than before. Fett nodded in agreement. And the girl is here, but the boy isn't. Fett's gaze fell on Nanoha, who was not far away. Then he shook his head and said in disappointment, "Maybe he's hiding somewhere and looking over here," Elf said uncertainly. Nanoha's gaze also turned to Fate, who was standing at the top of the telephone pole not far behind. Roar! The tree man let out a growl. All the roots buried in the ground broke out, constantly waving in the air. Yuno-kun, run away! Nanoha hurriedly shouted at Yuno. Yuno quickly got into the grass beside him. Avoid disturbing Nanoha. Flyer fin, Nanoha cast magic and flew into the air. Fly fast, heart of the rising sun. Fly higher. See those tree roots chasing after. Nanoha hurriedly urged the heart of the rising sun in her hands. All right, get it? The heart of the rising sun took Nanoha to fly higher, successfully avoiding the roots of the tree below. Scythe form, the lightning battle axe in Fight's hand instantly transformed into a sickle mode. Arclight flying blade. Let's go. Lightning war axe. Fate also saw the Thunderlight battle axe aimed at the tree man in front of him. Arc saber. The energy of the Thunder Axe is concentrated in the front section of the Scythe mode. Shooting mode, the heart of the rising sun in Nanoha's hands was transformed into a design pattern. Let's go! Heart of the rising sun, Naruto shouted. Go! Fit aimed at the tree man in front of him and vigorously swung the Thunder Light battle axe in his hand. The Treant hurriedly used the energy shield to resist. Shot through it, heart of the rising sun. Nanoha in the sky also began to gather magic power. God, Buster, Naiha hasn't finished speaking yet. The heart of the rising sun in hand is perfectly connected. The tree man did not dare to be careless. The protective cover was also open to resist. See you. Fate just silently stretched out his left hand, started doing some weird handprints. A golden magic circle appeared at the same time. Wait the gallop. How lay? Fetch shouted. Then he grabbed his Thunderlight war axe in both hands. Thunder Smasher, a small magic circle, appeared in front of him. The tip of the lightning tomahawk in Fit's hand passed through the small magic circle. A golden-yellow energy column hit the tree man. Roar! The tree man let out an unwilling roar. Reincarnated into the sacred stone seed. Chapter 91. My surname is Ming Duosang. Seeing that the sacred stone seed had recovered into a blue diamond-shaped gemstone, the two of them looked at each other invariably, holding the magic tool in their hands to confront each other. It's not that the two of them don't want to seal the sacred stone seed, rather worry about causing problems. I'm afraid it will lead to the same ending as yesterday. After applying the impact force to the holy stone seed, it will cause the ending like last night. The heart of the rising sun and the thunder axe are broken again. That fit. Nihal looked at Fate in front of him and exclaimed softly, Fit Testroza. Fet repeated his full name. I just want to have a good talk with Fetty. Have a good talk. Nanoha revealed her cemetery. The seed of the holy stone? I will never give it to you. Fet's eyes were full of determination. I won't give it to you either, because I want to know the reason. I want to know why Fet collects the seed of the holy stone. Why do you always show such a lonely look in your eyes? After being silent for a moment, Nay said to Fate, These things have nothing to do with you. Fate also said after being silent for a moment, If I win, if it proves that I'm not a lip-smacking little girl, will you be willing to talk to me? Nay looked at Fate and asked. Fet did not answer Nanoha's question. The two looked at each other and rushed over. Suddenly, a blue light appeared from nowhere in the sky, and it landed precisely in the center of the two people. At the same time, Nanoha and Fit were bound in place by using binding magic. That's it. After the blue light dissipated, a boy in a black coat appeared in front of the two. The hands are iron gloves. In his right hand is a wand with a strange shape. I'm the executive officer of the Time and Space Administration, Kronor Halloween, said the boy. Raised his left hand. In a cloud of blue energy in the air, Kronor's credentials appear. Time and Space Administration. Yino looked shocked. Administration? Elf looked wary. Please explain all the ins and outs of the matter. Chrono looked at the two people beside him. He raised his head and said proudly, Please stop the two of you. Otherwise, you will be dealt with according to law. You, how old are you? Do you want to use your Midsurda's laws to manage our Earth affairs? You are such a powerful official. Tianyu walked out of the woods. Looking at Clot in front of him contemptuously, he said, Little feather? Nay, and Fight's eyes fell on Tianyu. Who are you? Clot looked at Tianyu in front of him with caution in his eyes. At the age of about 14, he can become the executive officer of the General Bureau of the Time and Space Administration. It's not just talking. There is no certain strength and extraordinary wisdom. It is impossible to become an executive officer of the General Directorate of the Time and Space Administration at such an age, especially when facing Tianyu. The other party can actually know about Midsurda. I'm afraid this guy is not a good stubble either. I'm just an ordinary person who sees injustice and draws a knife to help me. You, remember it for me. Tianyu pointed at Chrono with one hand and said, ordinary people? Chrono was visibly stunned. Tianyu kicked his feet. Like a cannonball, it rushed towards Kronor not far away. What? Chrono hurriedly cast a magic circle to resist. However, when Tianyu's fist touched the magic circle, he easily shattered Chrono's magic circle with just one punch. How can it be? Chrono's pupils contracted violently. What the hell is going on with this little baby in front of you? He actually shattered his magic circle with just one punch. Chrono immediately used magic to fly into the air, trying to take this opportunity to distance himself from Tianyu. Anyway, Kronor is also an S-rank magus after all, and also received systematic learning. The combat experience is naturally relatively rich, so it was easy to distance himself from Tianyu. Who the hell are you? Kronor in the air questioned Tianyu sternly. Me? My surname is O and Duosang. Do you remember? Tianyu said with a chuckle. Oh? Chrono nodded seriously. Isn't his name Tianyu? Why did he change his name to Ojuosang? Asked Nanoha next to him in confusion. The last name is O. The name is Duosang? On the contrary, Naiha immediately understood. Isn't it Odison? Never heard of this name. Chrono frowned in thought. Indicates that he has never heard of the name Chapter 92. What a great official prestige. Amy, can you calculate the level of the opponent's strength? Far away, in the Azura battleship in the dimensional space, a woman with long green hair looked solemnly at Tianyu and Chrono in the picture. This woman is the Admiral of the General Administration of Time and Space and the captain of the ship Azura, Captain Lindy Halloween. The magic value is about 100 W, and it looks like the opponent is still at ease. The magic value should be at least 150 W or more. The girl with short chestnut hair, called Amy, who was sitting below, replied, "Can you get an accurate value?" Lindy frowned. There is no way. The magic value of about 100 W was just burst out from him in an instant. Amy replied with a wry smile. Look at this child's age, is only about 4 or 5 years old. The magic power can reach more than 1 million level, which is more than a star and a half stronger than when Chrono was the same age. As the mother of Chrono Halloween, Lindy was very aware of Chrono's strength, but the strength of the child in front of him was able to perfectly suppress Chrono. The strength really cannot be underestimated. The magic value of the world of Magical Girl Nanoha can be said to be equal to the combat power of the world of Dragon Ball. Basically, it implements the 1:1 concept. To say something different, the world of Magic Girl Nanoha can be said to cultivate magic power to enhance its own strength. The world of Dragon Ball is a body of cultivation. By enhancing the ability of the body, you can enhance your own strength. One world is inner cultivation, and the other is physical cultivation. The way of cultivation can be said to be completely different. Let's talk about the average. The average level of Midsurda in the world of Magic Girl Nanoha is higher than the average level of the 7th universe in Dragon Ball. But the individual level, the 7th universe in Dragon Ball, is Midsurda, who completely abused the world of Magic Girl Nanoha. At present, it has been less than a month since Tianyu merged and passed the Super Bloodline. With the help of Chuanchao Bloodline, it has been greatly improved. Perhaps it is because his own strength is much higher than that of ordinary people. After activating the Super Bloodline, after a little practice, the combat power has reached about 200 W. Perhaps many people think that the 200 W combat power is pitifully low. The 200 W combat power is only a small boss level in the Dragon Ball series. Even Frieza is an existence that exceeds 100 million. But have you ever thought about a very important question? It was less than a month before Tianyu got the Chuanchao bloodline. In less than a month, his strength has gradually made a huge leap. After using power of the giant ape, the strength can explode more than 10 times the normal strength. It only took less than a month or so. Even when Broly was born, his combat power was only about 1 W. Broly in the theatrical version of Dragon Ball Z Super Battle, after entering the super form, the combat power is only about 1.4 billion. But don't ignore a feature of the Super Saiyan bloodline. The combat power becomes stronger with age. When Broly of Dragon Ball Z Super Battle was 29 years old, he entered the super form with only 1.4 billion battle power. Broly in the theatrical version of Dragon Ball Super, Broly is 41 years old. After using the power of the giant ape, his strength is slightly inferior to that of the Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan, Sun Wukong, and Beiji. Tower. In the later stage of the battle, after improving the combat experience, in turn, it can completely crush them. Compared with the Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan, it is slightly inferior. But Broly was 41 years old at the time. The current Tianyu is only 4 years old. It only took less than a month to get the Chuanchao bloodline. To prevent too much damage. Still can't use all his strength to compete with the opponent. As for deflated? Impossible. What is flattening? Nothing but embarrassment, frustration, or be forced to give in. Give in to defeat. Did Tianyu keep going until he got excited? It is nothing more than letting the evil of this world run away from his hands. What's the point of eating shrewd? Although Chuanchao's bloodline is very strong, it is definitely not as strong as he imagined. It is impossible to make a person reach the sky in one step. It's like building a house. You want to build a building without leveling the foundation? Dream it. On the other side, the battle between Tianyu and Chrono also came to an end. Chrono's attack did little damage to Tianyu. Instead, it was Chrono. He was punched from the left by Tianyu and madly beaten by the right. There is no way to resist. His own magic circle is completely paper. Even the role of resistance is useless. After all, he is also an S-rank magister. How could he become powerless in front of Tianyu? Hey, hitting someone doesn't slap in the face. Chrono was beaten by Tianyu and hugged his head to beg for mercy. That won't work. I want to use Midsurda's law to manage our earth affairs. Such a great authority. Who gave you the courage? Liang Jingru. Tianyu beat Chronor as he spoke. Of course, he must be precisely controlling his own strength. Otherwise, Chronor can be knocked out with one punch. Odison, stop now. Chrono's angry eyes were red, and he shouted angrily. Don't call me Dad. It's useless to call your grandpa today. Instead, Tianyu became more and more excited and became more addicted to playing. As for resistance, Chrono means you resist a try. The magic in the body is constantly disappearing. There is no extra magic power to use. Boxing is impossible. The little baby in front of him is far beyond ordinary people in both strength and speed. Run? Impossible? Chapter 93. Prija's gaze, Chrono's whole mentality collapsed in his heart. He has never seen such a bug like Tianyu. From the beginning to the end, no magic was used to strengthen it. Not even using magic power. It is completely relying on its own strength to attack. The thing that breaks Chronor the most is he couldn't see the attack method of the little baby in front of him at all. The speed is too fast. With Chrono's naked eyes, he can't keep up. It has completely surpassed the category of human speed, even if it's a hard distance. But the next moment appeared in front of him, and if he wants to use magic, he will be forcibly interrupted by the other party in the next second. Even if it is used for a moment. Attack magic can't do any damage to him at all. Defensive magic is simply unable to resist the damage caused by the opponent. What's the matter? Only a magister of about AAA level is capable of this? It's a little too unpleasant, too disappointing. Tianyu punched Chrono in the abdomen. The other hand grabbed Chrono's head. Oh, our great Chronor executive. What's wrong? Why doesn't he have the same spirit as before? Why is he half dead now? Tianyu casually threw Chrono to the port side, standing in the air, looking at the half-dead Chronor. I don't know where I pulled out a wet wipe, wiped my hands, and threw it on Chrono's body. Yuno looked at Tianyu in the air, scared to shrink his head. The Magister of the Time and Space Administration was abruptly destroyed, and he still looked like he didn't care. The most frightening is, he did not fight with the weapons and magic tools he was good at, relying on pure physical strength. But can humans really fly? Tianyu didn't feel any magic power fluctuations, and he didn't see him using a magic tool or the like, and he flew in the air with such ease. The worst is our little Chronor. He was lying on the ground, covered in wounds, unable to move. The blood spilling from his mouth shows that the injury is not light. The magic tool in his hand was also broken into two sections. Chronor's magic tool is of the S2U type, which is a general-purpose magic tool equipped by the authority. Performance is a bit worse. Not as intelligent as the Heart of the Rising Sun and the Lightning Tomahawk. Pity. It is now completely scrapped. And the reason for scrapping is very simple. That was because Chrono wanted to use the magic tool to resist, but Tianyu punched the magic tool into two pieces. It even completely shattered the first half with one kick. Now S2U has become a bare stick, and it was broken in two. Puff! Chrono, who fell to the ground, suddenly spurted out a mouthful of blood. Hateful! Chrono lay on the ground and raised his right hand to attack Tianyu, struggling to open his right eye to gather the remaining magic power in his body. He raised his right hand and aimed at Tianyu in the air, because the body that has been beaten is covered with injuries. The left eye has been unable to see the surrounding situation because of the blood. Little devil, I advise you not to struggle weakly. The power level is too different. Tianyu's figure slowly landed on the ground. He stretched out his right foot and stepped on Chrono's right wrist. Absorbs all the magic power gathered by Chrono, said with an old-fashioned look. Fei Te and Nai Yi were completely stunned by Tianyu. Usually, Tianyu is completely harmless to humans and animals. This time is not the norm. Directly destroy the Chrono of the Time and Space Administration. These two girls, if your time and space administration dares to move, I will tell you that your time and space administration is directly ruined. If you don't believe it, you can give it a try and see if I can do it. Tianyu bent over and whispered something next to Chrono. Turn around and prepare to leave. The 8th cruiser far away in the dimensional space, Azra. Lindy and Amy covered their mouths tightly. Try not to make your own noise. Tears kept rolling in his eyes. I didn't expect the other party to be so cruel. Hanging Chrono unilaterally completely left Chrono with no room to fight back. On the other side, Tianyu glanced at Nanoha, who clenched the heart of the rising sun in his hand. He looked at Fate, who was beside him. Nao, go. After Tianyu finished speaking, he was ready to leave. After hesitating for a moment, Fight was the first to follow Tianyu. This time Tianyu's shot was mainly because of an old woman who was hiding in the dark and refused to shoot, Precia Testroza. Can feel it. The 60-year-old woman seemed to be watching Fete today. It should be for this reason. As for Nanoha, she ran to the side of Chrono, who was half dead, and quickly took out an orb with a green glow from her pocket. Chapter 94. First meeting with Precia Testroza. It can be said basically every step is in Tianyu's plan. As for the next thing, that is to negotiate with Precia. Once the negotiation is successful, you can proceed to the next plan. If negotiations fail, then you have to start another plan B to execute. Injuring Chrono is also within Tianyu's plan. Of course, not ruthlessly. It was just this way to tell Precia two things. First thing, I'm not from the Time and Space Administration. Second thing, I am qualified to negotiate with you. The 3 people who left the place came to a nearby forest. Fei Te looked at Tianyu in front of him with a complicated expression, not knowing what to say. Elf, on the other hand, looked at Tianyu in front of him vigilantly. His eyes became very sharp. Actually, Fei Te has something to tell Tianyu. That is, Precia wants to meet Tianyu. However, Fei Te did not know how to speak to Tianyu. By the way, Fate, can you do me a favor with something? Tianyu touched his nose and said embarrassedly, What's the matter? Fate was stunned for a moment and then asked, I want you to take me to find Precia Testroza. Tianyu stated his purpose. Yes, Fate responded softly. After all, Precia also wanted to see Tianyu. This time I came here to find Tianyu to go to the Garden of Time. The last time I returned to the Garden of Time, Precia originally wanted to beat Fete again, but the emerald green orb that Tianyu gave to Fight shattered unexpectedly. It turned into a spot of light and poured into Precia's body. Later, Precia asked where the Fete orb came from. Fete can only honestly explain the process. He also gave the letter left by Tianyu to Precia. After reading the letter, Precia just let Fete go. Let Fete bring the man. So Fight heard that Tianyu wanted to see Precia again this time, without any hesitation. At the feet of the 3 people, a golden circular magic circle of Mid-Zilda appeared. Dimensional transfer, dimensional coordinates. Fit also began to use the dimensional shift magic to transfer. 876C, 4419, 3312, D699, 3583, A1460, 779, F3125, listening to Feet whispering the coordinates. Tianyu also secretly wrote down the coordinates of the dimensional mobile fortress, Garden of Time. Be prepared just in case. At that time, it might be able to come in handy. The so-called coordinates are a spherical coordinate system that uses the spherical surface of 3-dimensional space to define the space on the Earth. Can mark any location on the Earth. The combination of longitude and latitude is used to form a coordinate system. Longitude. East longitude is positive and west longitude is negative. Latitude. North latitude is positive and south latitude is negative. However, the dimensional coordinates need to determine the position from an infinite number of dimensions. In general, the coordinates used by Fete can be divided into 2. The first one is the coordinates of the dimension where the Garden of Time is located. The second is the coordinates of the specific location of the Garden of Time. This kind of coordinates involving dimensions really makes Tianyu a little puzzled. Anyway, if you want to go here in the future, you can just follow the cat and draw the tiger. Open it. The door of the dimension. The goal. The Garden of Time. The side of the Patriarch of Testroza. After Fei finished speaking, the three people just disappeared from the earth. What Fei doesn't actually know is that Prija has been secretly monitoring the three people's every move. In the Garden of Time, in the high-dimensional space, a golden magic circle suddenly appeared on the ground, and the figures of Fei, Tianyu, and Elf also appeared in the magic circle. "We're here. This is the Garden of Time." Elf glanced at Tianyu next to him and said, "Mother should be inside by now." Fei's gaze was only on the top of the golden gate in front of him. "I'm back, Mother." Fei stepped up and pushed open the door in front of him and walked in. After entering the gate, Tianyu's eyes fell on the figure behind the desk. There was a middle-aged woman with black, gray waist-length hair sitting there. She was wearing a slim, dark purple dress. Long hair covered her left eye. There is also a cloak of the magician in the film and television drama behind it. This middle-aged woman is the target of Tianyu, Precious Testrosa, the central character of this Holy Stone Seed incident. She is also the adoptive mother of Fei Testarossa. Tianyu lost interest after taking a look at Prija. Although she has a beautiful appearance, she looks like she is about 20 to 30 years old, but Precious Testrosa is a real 59-year-old woman, soon to be a 60-year-old woman. But although Prija is Fei's adoptive mother, but he was very cruel and hypocritical when he treated Fei. Chapter 95. The S-Class Magister. Although Prija is Fei's adoptive mother, but he was very cruel and hypocritical when he treated Fei. In addition to this, Prija also suffers from a disease called pulmonary nodules, which is somewhat similar to tuberculosis. So Prija often coughs up blood when she coughs. As a result, her health is not good. The disease was contracted after the death of Prija's daughter Alicia. According to Tianyu's past life memories, it seems that this disease was caused by the drugs used by Prija in the process of implementing the F plan, which damaged the respiratory organs. As long as Prija feels unforgettable, moving, and other violent mood swings, there will be a violent cough, although Prija is the villain's mission. But it didn't hinder Tianyu's sympathy for Prija. Generally, when you watch the first part of Magic Girl Nanoha, you will be disgusted with this middle-aged woman who is only 59 years old because she is very cruel and hypocritical to her daughter. But Tianyu doesn't think so much. Tianyu, who knew about Precia's past, was very sympathetic to Precia. It can be said that Prija is a person Tianyu was very sympathetic to in his previous life. Everyone only knows that Prija is the central figure in the seed of the Holy Stone incident, privately instructing Fei Te to collect and snatch the ancient heritage sacred stone seed and other crimes. No one cared about Precia's past. Why did Precia become the cruel and hypocritical person she is now? The reason is actually quite simple. It was mentioned in the related light novels. Precia got married when she was about 23 years old. After marriage, Precia rarely came home. When I was about 28 years old, I had a daughter, Alicia. Later, because she had little interaction with her husband in life, Prija divorced her husband when Alicia was 2 years old. Raised Alicia alone, because at that time, Precia was the director of the 3rd Bureau of the Central Technology Development Bureau in Mid-Serta. The salary of a magician researcher is quite generous. So in terms of life, two people can say that it is very comfortable. However, the good life changed 26 years ago. About 26 years ago, Precia serves as the 3rd director of the Central Technology Development Agency in Mid-Serta. Later, because of an accident, the good life came to nothing. No one knows what happened in the first place. However, it was announced that the 3rd director of the Central Technology Development Bureau used illegal materials to conduct experiments without authorization, so it failed and caused a dimensional shock. In the data of the Time and Space Administration, it is recorded as follows about Prija. When Prija used the independently developed Dimensional Navigation Energy Drive Furnace, Hydra, the experiment failed because of the use of illegal materials. This led to the emergence of medium-scale dimensional earthquakes. The final verdict was also simple. Due to the medium-sized dimensional earthquake caused by Priscilla, Prija was permanently banished to a remote area. Suddenly, Prija's gaze turned to Tianyu, who was on the side, and then to Fei again. She seemed very relieved. However, it was quickly hidden by Precia perfectly, and her eyes seemed to have changed, and her gaze towards Fei became cold. With his hands and fingers crossed on the desk in front of him, he looked at Fate coldly. Obviously, such a good opportunity is in front of you. But you were standing on the side in a daze? Prussia looked at Fate and said coldly, I am sorry. Hearing that Prussia mentioned what happened just now, she lowered her head and dared not look directly at Prussia, and her body began to tremble slightly. Prussia got up and walked towards Fate, and Fate became even more frightened when he saw Prussia standing up. Do you remember what I said to you? Prussia's tone turned cold. Ah, that? Fate was too frightened to move and leaned back slightly. It's too much. Fate, you've let me down so much. Do you just want to make Mom sad? Prussia's tone became a little displeased, and she started to use her magic power with her right hand. Soon a solid whip was condensed in his hand. System. Open the system panel to see Prussia's specific strength. Tianyu gave orders to the system in his heart. A panel that only Tianyu can see appeared in front of Tianyu. Name, Prussia Testroza gender. Female age, 59 occupation. Mage magic formula. Midzerta style overall strength. S-class mage PS. Next, thank you for your support. About Prussia. The magic tool used is unknown, but the Magister level may be around S rank, so it is set as an S rank Magister here. If there are any mistakes, please forgive me. Chapter 96. The Transaction with Prussia, Part 1. When you see the overall strength at the bottom, even Tianyu was a little surprised. Unexpectedly, Prussia's strength actually reached the S rank Magister. Although in the past life, many people speculated that Prussia should be an S-class Magister, but I didn't expect that it would be the case today. But Tianyu has been able to completely explode Prussia. So don't worry. Why? Why didn't you bring that thing back? Don't you know? That thing is indispensable to my research, and you didn't bring any of it back. Prussia said angrily to Fate. As he spoke, he wanted to hit Fate with the whip in his hand. Ah, I'm sorry. Fate closed his eyes tightly in fright and quickly apologized to Prussia. That look made Tianyu feel distressed. Enough! Tianyu instantly burst out with a powerful psychic power, tying Prussia to the ground forcibly. Prussia's gaze turned to Tianyu, who was beside her. He was able to restrain his actions in an instant, making him unable to move. Prussia has been observing Tianyu since she confronted the Magister of the Time and Space Administration just now. To be able to suppress the opponent to the death with the strength of the body, it seems to be completely at ease. Your acting skills still need to be honed, unless you are not interested in the deal I proposed. Tianyu said leisurely to Prussia with a smile. Yes, Prussia said with a sneer. At this time, the pain Fate expected did not appear. Opening her eyes, she saw that Prussia was unable to move while waving her whip. Fate, you go out first and be obedient. Tianyu slowly floated up on the ground, stretched out his right hand, and touched Fight's head, trying to appease Fight's emotions. However, Feither didn't dare to say anything at this time. His eyes could only turn to Prussia in front of him. You go out first. After Prussia said something, Fate still didn't dare to move. But Fate looked at Tianyu and then at Prussia. Don't worry, I won't hurt her. Tianyu saw it immediately. Fate was afraid that after he left, Tianyu would do something to Prussia. Fate, don't you even listen to me? Prussia looked at Fetty's eyes, and her eyes became unkind. Yes, yes. Seeing the unkind look in Prussia's eyes, Fate could only lower his head and respond. Then he quietly left the room, for fear that Prussia will be angry. After Fate closed the golden door, Tianyu released the restraint on Prussia. Looking at the weak magic in your body, you must have read that letter. Tianyu sat back casually, sitting in the air lightly, as if sitting on a fully transparent chair. With Erlang's legs crossed, he looked comfortable. That letter was written by you? Prussia looked at Tianyu and said contemptuously. Why? Don't you believe it? Tianyu just asked indifferently. Huh, just you, a kid who hasn't grown up yet? But I'm a little surprised that you can read Midzerta's words. I'm curious about the deal you want to negotiate with me. Prussia sneered. Said. In fact, Prussia is still a little afraid of Tianyu. Not only has a great physique, it can also easily use some unknown magic to restrain its own actions. Oh, really? Do you think if I didn't have a deal worth your interest, would I choose to have Fate bring me to you? Tianyu just chuckled. What deals can you have that interest me as a child? Precious doesn't even bother to talk about this kid in front of her. But the content of the letter had to make Precious care. Able to help oneself fulfill a wish. He also claimed that he had the power to come back from the dead. In addition to that, there is that strange turquoise bead. It actually relieves the swelling of my lungs. Prija is also a little strange about this little baby in front of her. That's why Fate was asked to find her. By the way, let's see what this guy can do. However, Precious felt that she was not dealing with a 5-year-old child at all, but a wily old fox. It seemed that the other party knew what they wanted to do from the beginning. Whether it is the jade green orb, or the letter mentioned in the letter to help her realize her wish, even if it is to resurrect the dead. But he refused to say what he needed to pay. Chapter 97, Transaction with Prija, Part 2. That's it. It depends on your attitude. It should be that you don't have to talk about it. Then you will continue to use that F plan to revive the Alicia you were thinking of. After saying that, Tianyu turned around and prepared to leave. And when Prija heard Tianyu mentioned F Project and Alicia, she showed a very incredible look. Why would he know Alicia? Why would he know about Plan F? Why would he know that he wants to resurrect Alicia? All kinds of doubtful questions are flooded in Precia's mind. Wait a moment. Precia quickly stopped Tianyu, who was about to leave. Oh, I don't know Ms. Precia Testroza now. Are you interested in my deal? Tianyu turned his head and smiled at Prija behind him. Who the hell are you? Precia asked in a low voice from Prija's point of view. The child in front of him actually knew so many things. Probably not an ordinary child. And that is far beyond the physical quality of ordinary people. It was most likely sent by that man. Why do you know these things? Are you sent by a man? Precia asked in a deep voice. Huh. I have nothing to do with which guy. If I can, I wish I could kill him sooner. He looks like a pervert. Tianyu pouted and said disdainfully. Tianyu, who was a traveler, naturally knew who Prija was talking about. Isn't it sent by him? Then who are you? Prija asked after being stunned. Hello, Ms. Precia Testroza. Are you interested in hearing a story? Tianyu didn't answer Precia's question. Instead, she asked her if she wanted to hear the story. Story? I'm curious what story you can tell. Precia narrowed her eyes. This is something that happened 26 years ago. Tianyu began to speak slowly. An ominous premonition suddenly appeared in Prija's heart. 26 years ago, there was a woman who was a development director at the Midshirta Private Energy Enterprise, but suddenly resigned because of an accident. Do not talk. Precia was instantly furious when she heard that Midshirta's private energy company was the development director. She didn't know what she was talking about. However, this is just the statement of the Time and Space Administration. In fact, the woman is the third director of the Central Technology Development Bureau of the Time and Space Administration. Tianyu listened when he said here. Prija also fell into silence. He was indeed the director of the third bureau of the Central Technology Development Bureau of the Time and Space Administration. Only later, because the Time and Space Administration tried to cover up the truth. Later, it was announced that it was not the third bureau of the Central Technology Development Bureau of the Time and Space Administration. It is a private energy company in Midshirta. At that time, no one cared about the truth. Therefore, the information that can be found so far is that he is the development director of a private energy enterprise in Midshirta. Everything is to cover up the truth of the truth. Let Precia take the blame alone. What else do you know? Precia said bitterly. The record about that period of history in Midshirta was created by a private energy company in Midshirta in order to save the face of the Time and Space Administration. Tianyu is actually quite familiar with this piece of history. At that time, there was a big discrepancy between the content of the first theatrical version of Magic Girl Nanoha and the content of the TV version. In the theatrical version, the Time and Space Administration is depicted as a positive image. Cover up the truth of everything in the TV version. Completely whitewash the Time and Space Administration. It is for this reason. Many netizens said that the theatrical version is a promotional film of the Time and Space Administration. If you want to know the real story of Magic Girl Nanoha, it is better to watch the TV version. Even later, many people said, is it because the plot of SS can't be whitewashed by the Time and Space Administration, so the theatrical version of SS is simply not available? In the TV version and in many materials, it is very clearly written. Original. Precious Testroza is the director of the 3rd Bureau of the Central Technology Development Bureau of the Time and Space Administration. In the theater version, things changed. Edit. Precious Testroza is the director of a private energy company. To put it bluntly, it is to cover up the inferiority of the Time and Space Administration. What do I know? For example, the death of Alicia, the cause and effect of Plan F, your wish, the reason why you want to collect the Holy Stone Seed. Tianyu said what he knew. Huh, you really are not an ordinary person. Hearing this, Prija just took a deep breath. After soothing his mood, he looked at Tianyu again. Tell me, what is the transaction you want to make? Chapter 98. Transaction with Precious, Part 2. Tell me, what's the deal you want to make? Prija looked at Tianyu in front of her and asked indifferently. It's very simple. I want fate. Tianyu raised his index finger and said leisurely. I heard that the little baby in front of me was coming for Fei Te. The eyes that had been soothed became sharp again. You want fate? Precious asked in a deep voice. Yes. Do you want Alicia or fate? You can only choose one of them. The corner of Tianyu's mouth rose slightly and said with a sneer. Impossible when you hear a choice between two. Prija rejected Tianyu in one bite. Oh, that's why fit is more important than Alicia. Tianyu asked with a smile. This Precious didn't know how to answer for a while. Suddenly the atmosphere became silent. Even Precious didn't expect that the opponent's target would actually be fate. And let yourself choose one. This suddenly put Prija in a dilemma. As the saying goes, the palms of the hands and the backs of the hands are full of meat. Alicia and Fit are their daughters. Allowing yourself to choose between the two is really a bit of a no-brainer. If it was before, if you can only use the seed of the Holy Stone to go to Alhazard, then Prija will definitely choose to give up fate without hesitation. Because Prija knew it herself. Alhazard has long since disappeared into those countless dimensions. This time, the first district can be said to be dead and alive. But I had to go again for Alicia. That was the only hope left for Prija. Now, there is a new method in front of him. Bringing Alicia back to life is Prija's greatest wish. You choose. Do you want to live a happy life with Alicia? Or do you want to live a happy life with fate? Tianyu also wanted to see what Precious would choose. For Prija, the most painful thing is not being able to satisfy the love for Alicia and not being able to revive Alicia who has been dead for many years. To save Alicia, crazy Precious actually wants to go to the lost civilization, Alhazard, find a way to resurrect Alicia. Alhazard is a civilization that existed a long time ago, and the technological civilization of Alhazard has developed radically to an unimaginably terrifying level. But it was destroyed because the technological civilization was too developed. Not to mention whether Precious can find the long-lost Alhazard. Even if found, is there really a technology in Alhazard that revives Alicia? Precious asked herself more than once. Although the book records that Alhazard has the art of resurrection. But whether it worked for Alicia is another matter. Can Alhazard is the last remaining method. So to improve the probability of finding Alhazard, Precious set the target on the ancient heritage, Sacred Stone Seed. I want to use 21 Holy Stone Seeds to open the way to Alhazard. Having said that, but that doesn't mean Precious is willing to trade. If Precious really just used fight as a tool, then he would agree to the deal when he heard that Tianyu could resurrect Alicia. I want to think about it, Prija replied. Think slowly. We still have a little time. Tianyu nodded. Indicates that Precious can think slowly. The silent Prija suddenly flashed the bits and pieces of her time with Fed in her mind. Actually, Precious was very happy when Fate was born. I thought that I had successfully used the F plan to rebirth my beloved Alicia. But when I saw that Fetty was completely different from Alicia, Precious' heart completely collapsed. Fet is completely different from Alicia. Alicia did not inherit the magic aptitude that she possessed. But Fetty inherited his magic aptitude, especially seeing fights lightning-like magic. Reminds Prija of that ominous light that took Alicia away from him. Although Fate was made by Precious using F Project, it gave Fate the memories that originally belonged to Alicia. But Fei is not Alicia. The two are completely different individuals, whether it is character, habits, magic aptitude, etc. Fei and Alicia are two completely different individuals. In Precia's eyes, two people cannot be treated as the same individual. Precia, who thought of this, made up her mind. I agree, yes, deal. However, you must treat Fei well. Precia gritted her teeth and said word by word. Chapter 99. The deal with Precia continued. You actually care about Fei's feelings? It really doesn't fit your cruel and hypocritical image. Don't you only have your beloved Alicia in your eyes? Tianyu raised the corner of his mouth and asked with a sneer. Precia was about to say something, but in the end it didn't come out. In fact, Precia knew it herself. In his heart, Fei couldn't compare to Alicia. No matter what Fei does, it is a bad thing in his own mind. In order to prevent himself from being good to Fei, he will be immersed in a happy life and forget Alicia. Precia has been concerned about this for a long time. I have always been conflicted. In his own heart, he belittled Fei quite a bit in order to make Fei lower in his heart so that he would not forget Alicia, who had died. Thought here. There was a look of contradiction and reluctance in Precia's eyes. Looking at Precia in front of her, Tianyu suddenly thought of a character from another anime, Tenmo Wataro in Astro Boy. When it comes to this name, many people may be unfamiliar. If Dr. Tenma is mentioned, it will definitely wake up the character buried deep in everyone's memory. One is similar to Precia. He lost his child because of neglect. In order to be able to create an existence similar to his own child, Dr. Tenma chose to make a robot. Precia chose to make clones. In the end, it's all because the child I made was different from what I had in my impression. So choose to embark on the road of no return. Clones are always just clones, even if they are identical in appearance and memory, but they are two different individuals after all. Tianyu couldn't help but remind it. I know, Precia replied calmly. Fei, I'll take it away first. I need a little time to complete the preparations for resurrecting Alicia. When Fei and I come back, it will be Alicia's resurrection. After Tianyu said a word, he was ready to leave here. I'll make these things clear to Fei. Precia nodded. On the other side, Nanoha brought Yuno and Chrono to the dimensional battleship, Azra, located in the dimensional space. There is the emerald green orb that Tianyu reserved exclusively for Nanoha. No matter how many injuries can be recovered in an instant. This is specially made by Tianyu for Nei to prevent Nanoha from being by his side when he was seriously injured. The production method is also very simple. You can make it using horse charms. It was the same thing that Fei had given to Precia before. The effect is not as good as Nanoha's. But there was nothing wrong with helping Precia with her swollen lungs. This is also the biggest reason why Precia believes that Tianyu can resurrect Alicia. Not only was he able to treat his own swollen lung, but he also knew about Alicia and Plan F. That being the case, there is no need to deceive yourself. Not to mention the bargaining chip is Fight Testroza. Even Tianyu couldn't revive Alicia. Precia had no other choice. As for collect sacred stone seeds, go to Alyahat to find a resurrection art. There is no way to snatch the sacred stone seed from Tianyu's hands. How can I use the sacred stone seed to go to Alyahat to find a resurrection technique? In terms of strength, he may not necessarily be the opponent's opponent. Chrono, the AAA level executive officer of the Time and Space Administration, was unilaterally beaten by the opponent. And the other party has special magic that he has never seen before. It's easy to restrain your actions. After all, he is also an S-rank great magus. Can be so easily bound. Obviously, the opponent's strength will never be weaker than himself, and even stronger than himself. A little too far. Nanoha, Yuno, and Chrono used teleportation magic to reach Azra. Nanoha clenched the heart of the rising sun in both hands, carefully looking around at the situation. Yuno-kun, where is this place? Naya asked anxiously. This is the dimensional navigation ship of the Time and Space Administration. Chrono took the lead and walked inside. After hearing Naya's question, he explained lightly. Dimensional sailing ship? Naya was even more puzzled. Simply put, it is a ship that can travel freely in the dimensional world. Chronor explained. Listen, it doesn't sound simple at all. but the Time and Space Administration seems to have heard of it somewhere. Naya's expression was full of unease. There are countless worlds outside the world where Nanoha lives, and the world I'm in is one of them. This is a ship that can travel in a dimensional space. Also explained to Nanoha.
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.